Now, respect, it looks like Fresh and Vesha have gone the road, but everyone else is now just back ever so slightly. I think it's been a bit crazy. We have three riders up the road. I'm afraid Chilwell found himself on the deck. We went into an area of traffic management, let's put it that way. Some raised road furniture, and he has actually gone into a road sign and given himself a nasty gash on his left forearm, and it's just being attended to at the moment. So we're being quite discreet with the cameras because it was quite gory. I'm pleased about that. I always think, Brian, that you should just let riders get the attendance they need without being mawkish and dropping.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. You shouldn't linger on it, and I don't think we should be showing replays either. But I think there was a protection on something, but there was nothing on the road sign.
No, there wasn't. These road signs are pressed metal, as you can see, and you can also see it's slightly distended at the top, and it has gashed his left arm, and he is being attended to. Concussion protocols and everything else.
That's not going to make any. Put your finger in front of someone's. We were talking about this other day. Is that?
Yeah, that's a finger. He's back on. He's bandaged up, and well, good for him, Brian. But this is going to have an impact on him, I'm afraid.
Oh, huge. I'm just when I saw that. Was it kind of hay bale they've got, and then the top of the sign wasn't protected, and that's the bit that slashed his arm there. So he's hit that, slashed his arm on the sign itself. That wasn't protected properly, but he was a rider that they're hoping to get in the breakaway and potentially win a stage.
Well, dare I suggest that today is not going to be that day. We have an intermediate sprint coming up in 13 kilometres tomorrow, and it gives us a chance to dwell on the medieval, Brian. You've been described as medieval. Oh no, mighty. Don't mind that. Philippe's been busy.
He has. He was one of the first riders getting involved here. Looks like standard. They're very quick with the graphics here. It's just about to go through the riders that I recognise. But yeah, Israel Premier Tech yet again bringing Michael Woods across this gap, and Alaphilippe not happy because it's one of these situations where you look behind and it's he's saying to them, why do you drag everybody back? Why don't you come across? But they may have had a gap, and by the time Alaphilippe looks back, the Peloton have closed that gap. So it's always a very difficult thing. But Alaphilippe means that he's up for it. He wants to get in the breakaway today, and getting a little bit desperate. Is there anyone else? There have been a few riders that have been busy. Just hearing on the race radio that Jonas are getting dropped. Is it? No. Thomas Bachar and Bechar. Bachar, the least expensive rider in the pod. Bechar, very expensive. And Gerin, best paid.
There you go. Best paid of this trip.
ولا ترغب بتقول تعمل تقول ولا هايل بس تعمل حال صوتين هو مثلني.
Yes, and we'll be hearing Declan's thoughts on the least expensive rider in the peloton, Monsieur Pacher, who's up the road, actually. In the road.
Our jokes coming between now and the end of the day. Going to be a busy one there. Yeah, I've been watching, Brian. It's certainly developed and changed a little bit. Interesting little breakaway up front with the Team Tour de France winner in his final race. Gerald Thomas cleared the field at St Martin's Dyke. Been off his bike, he's collected a new bike, and for Skelmos it's a difficult moment, difficult tour in general.
دحين من هي لو ما عندي تماشي دحين وتي زمزبين بمصر.
Unfortunately, he had that road sign. For me, it wasn't protected well enough. That road sign, so gashed his arm. So I think he'll come back, but I don't think he'll be very active. I think it'll be a case of just getting to the finish, unfortunately, for Skelmos. So that's a bitter pill for Little Trek to for the moment anyway.
Subscribe نحن
way back.
لما عند بينا يطبق وتي كان زبينا تسبيس غيرنا زلنا لما عند كايو سنون جين تنطبي يزو اخعقو طبو كمحيشو مالت
Yeah, I mean, he looks well bandaged up, doesn't he? He's looking for a little bit of extra assistance.
يلو ما عندي ترماشلا زحاشو تنتيا مثل لا وزد الله تكونتات
and then that group ought to be able to carry him to the finish, but yeah, tough old day. And still they attack out of the main peloton in pursuit of our trio up front. Quite have an early break just yet, do we? Nothing that you can call absolutely clear and established. Only 10k to go to the sprint. So where is Jonathan Milan? There he's lurking towards the front of the peloton and maybe thinking about the 20.
Yeah, there may come a stage of this race today when Lido Trek maybe start to ride a little bit and try and maybe try and kind of guarantee the maximum points here.
Back at the the moment and sees Shkelly's well banged up, isn't he? There's lots of blood there.
قال حبوا قوبي
Was, of course,
بينيام على حجز
because actually they were running through that concussion protocol and
كان
they had to sort of go through. There is a very clear. It's difficult to do on the side of the road, but the right should go with it.
جاب لهم عنتي
Not going to show anything.
There's a series of
أنا مش
questions.
ماركو لجزء international نفع
Very clearly defined
عمود finishing
return to play protocol or whatever you want to call it.
نرى كل ميدا 3 كيلومتر 4 كيلومتر كل ده ترين كاون ده حالي فوق
Rain cape in his back pocket.
يلا
25 seconds.
4 كيلومتر قال يلا
So that's a little bit less, but mind you, you'd imagine you'd normally pick that up from the team car.
متشلم عندي تسفاتات
ما لما عند ندرر هون وا
تريم على خط بو بوتاتات زي عزيز مستحيل
Challenging day for one and all out there. And Thibaut Nace has had a relatively quiet debut Tour de France. I'm thinking it's too quiet at the moment. Ara Schmidt's been rolling along at the back of the peloton with that sort of almost languid, low cadence, big gear effort. Looks as if he's struggling, I think, probably more than he is, but maybe he has a better idea about that. Steph Grau already called ashore. Such an agonising moment, really, wasn't it? Is that right? I'm glad, actually, they cut away from the images of Steph Grau because it's a private moment, isn't he? He was really wanting to finish the Tour de France, and unfortunately, right from the start today, he was at the back of the peloton, and moments when others found it easy to cruise in the wheels, you could tell that he was compromised and clearly ill. He's got some sort of a bug or something that prevented him from really getting out his proper power.
They're wrapping up Skelmos' arm a little bit more now. When you hit a road sign, your arm is just, and you start
I'm
a
breakaway
had a bit slate going into my arm to the Britain. Because the blood's pumping through your body, you still, when you're riding a bike,
ليش تبغى هنا توصل خمام 10 دقائق بلا نحكي
Yeah, I wonder what Roman Bardet thinks about that. Just Skelmoza, he's out on the motorcycle.
We are now approaching fast the last 10k before the intermediate sprint, and unfortunately we have seen a very bad crash from Matthias Skelmoza. Yeah, he hit a bit like in Paris, Central Island, and it was a very hard crash. He's on his way back. But the interesting thing is no Trek rider. I mean, Thibaut Nace, I think, got the call on the radio. A bit behind the red car of the organization. But then
أتابعنا
he jumped again in the clutch. I think it's very important for either track also to secure some point with Jonathan Milan, because now the sprint is within reach. So that makes still the fight for the breakaway even more complicated, because now Trek wants to have the group together to have the sprint. I was also nearby the Red Bull car, and the interesting thing was to see the position of the spare bike on the gallery, and it still didn't change. We still have the Roglic bike as the most accessible one in case of a problem. So I think doesn't mean that it will change in terms of what lesson we could have learned from the stellar form of Lipovic.
That's really keenly observed from Romain Bardet. Good to get that intel. Clearly, despite the fact that there was a bit of a swap with Brian Lipovic and Primož Roglic in general classification. And Roglic well ahead of this man yesterday in the time trial. It's Roglic, of course, that has the honour, I suppose. His bike is more accessible, quicker to get to. Event of a mechanical issue for Primož Roglic for the Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe squad. But also the observations from Romain Bardet around the Little Trek squad. They're divided in their thinking here with friends like that, because they're pushing the pace on the front of the peloton, while their man is struggling off the back.
And he is. He's losing more time. He's getting a little bit of help. I still believe he'll manage to get in the gruppetto today. But I think that
should they have put a rider back?
No. I don't think there'll be much. I was just about to say there's going to come a time where Lido Trek will just start to ride on the front. They'll control it for the sprint, and everybody will know that. So I don't think we'll see any attacks. So this is more control, because on 2 or 3 occasions the green jersey of Milan has tried to get himself in the breakaway, trying to do it the kind of hard way. But there comes a time where you have to control things, and it is now. We're on this kind of a little bit kind of false flag drag up here. Maybe 20 seconds. I think these guys will realise that maybe it's not worth the effort. But then again, if I was here, I would think, okay, they're riding at front, they're riding for the sprint. What do we do? Do we sit up and go again? Because it's clear that Lido Trek want to try and get as many points as possible, or do we try harder and stay away, because the gap, the other guys will come across. There's a lot of blood loss in that arm.
An extraordinary situation. Lidl Trek are thundering away on the front of the peloton, while their man, their favourite son, their man for the overall classification, Matthias Schellmoser, is struggling off the back, having crashed. And he is, as Brian has said, leaking blood, and it's a really compromising situation. But the Little Trek squad, well, that's what they've got to do, because their major objective is the green jersey and points classification. There are 20 points up for grabs for the first rider across the line at the intermediate sprint, and they want to make sure that they've closed down that 3-rider breakaway, which is no advantage here. And they'll keep fighting, because it is only 5.5 kilometres. It's kind of uphill a little bit, so it's maybe to the advantage of these riders up front, including Geraint Thomas.
I just think it's that they're in a difficult situation now. It's 17 seconds. They'll see them behind. I don't think they're pushing on. I think they're coming back. I think they've made the decision. It's not worth making an effort for 5Ks now to try and hold off this peloton. I really do think that it's not going to be the breakaway. They know that Lido Trek are starting to ride now. They know that Milan wants 20 points. So it's a case of what would you do in that situation? Because you have to ride super hard to stay away and hope that after the sprint some riders come across to you, or do you just give up, come back to the peloton and fight for another breakaway afterwards?
I think if you ever get to become a professional cyclist, if you ever are at this level, if you ever get to win a Tour de France title like Geraint Thomas, intelligent, good racing brain as they have, they just are hardwired to keep riding to a certain extent. It almost seems like it ought to be worth sitting up, and I suppose that's it done at this point. It's down to just a handful of seconds, but they'll fight, they'll attack again. The impulse is just to keep riding, isn't it? It's always just keep push.
Yeah, I think the best decision for them is that we saw Milan earlier on today. He was off the front on his own, and eventually something would have to give, and he just said, right, that's it. It's not happening. And it's the same for the trio at the front. It wasn't happening. When you hear that, the little tread riding on the front, what else can you do? You have to ride faster than them to try and stay away.
Called the terminate, and we've got the intermediate sprint, which is just on the lower slopes in actual fact of this 1 kilometer piece. Up it from the Surveyor side, if you know your terminate. Almost ever present in the Tour de France since its introduction back in 1910. Now, Henri Desgrange, interesting story, Henri Desgrange hid at the bottom of the mountain, actually going near, because Lapis and plenty of others were hopping mad and calling him an assassin and all sorts of horrible things. Souvenir Jacques Godet, here for the Tour, 2,100 metres in prospect, and the Blues Saint-Sauveur very shortly, just a couple of little blue sections along the way, but for the most part it's quite a steady climb actually, but naturally enough has that horrible sting in the tail, the Command of Provence in prospect now. Is coming on Tuesday. Getting ahead of it, it's Ventoux coming up on. Yeah, that's. I was just looking last night at the sequence of horrible days. Just yet, they've had 2 weeks of racing. This is stage 14, 7 to go after this one. So this is really the 2-week point, isn't it? And
what do you mean horrible? I'm quite looking forward to them.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to them. But there's a few guys in there, I think, down the back of the Peloton right now that might be so keen. But it's the worst of it. The most challenging is yet to come.
Yeah, we get some big days coming up in the mountains. So, and for a lot of these riders, and that's why we saw active at the start of today's stage. You have to make every day count, and unfortunately, the break's not going to happen today until after the sprints, and after the sprints, we start climbing.
No rest for the weary in the wickets. Not sure whether he is or not, but the Latvian National Road Race champion Tom Squinch setting a fearsome temp on the front, and we've seen this in the past as well. Up at the top of the mountain, it's a bit misty. We've heard of temperatures as low as 12 degrees Celsius. Could even be a little bit lower than that, and they plunge over the other side, heading for La Mongie. It might well be quite chilly indeed for these riders. Tadej Pogacar, the first time since it all kicked off quite a while ago, was seeing the yellow jersey and yellow shorts to match.
Well, you can see that Van der Poel, like I said earlier in today's stage, that if the points were there, he would go for them. And the points are there. He's got Grmay just behind him as well. So, but it looks as if we've got this Turgis moving up for total energy. It looks as if we've got 3: Milan, Van der Poel, and Grmay. Who else? I think Turgis.
I think we're going to be seeing Arnaud Delis up the front right anytime soon. The pace speed has been really quick. It's the third fastest first hour of racing in this year's Tour de France so far. It's compared back a little bit as the road has started to gravitate upwards towards the mountains to come, but still nudging 50k an hour. It's a busy speed. It's a hectic progress across the tarmac, and it seems inevitably set up for Jonathan Mila. It's got almost a full team in front of him right now. And Sonny to finish off the lead out. Squeeze to kick it off. 200 metres to this point, and of course it's quite the array of points in prospect, so there might be just a little bit of a scrap for the wheel of Jonathan Mila. Mathieu Van der Poel floating thereabouts. Marche squad want to propel Biniam Grmay into a good position to see can he scoop the points, and anyone prevents Milan. Standout sprinter of this group, Tim Malier, seen European champions jersey. I don't know whether you managed to pick him out.
No, I was just looking at that. He's sitting fifth at the moment, about 150 points. So I would expect him to have a crack, to just maybe chip away some points. But at the moment, no.
I was wondering if Tadej Pogacar was floating up towards the front. He had, with the thought of maybe just scooping a few points.
If it's easy, yeah, but I don't think he will.
So now, into the lead out proper. Jonathan Milan, what's interesting really, with Consoni just in front of him, and there's such a contrast in physical properties, but Consoni still gives a great lead out despite the fact that he's not anything like as tall. But Grmay just trying to fight for the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel here. Jonathan Milan cruising along. No one's going to steal his lead out for him anytime soon, but they are all fighting and scrabbling to be the man right on the tail of the green jersey.
ቢንያም ሪኹሞ ምስ ሚላን እዩ ዘሎ
And now he launches, and Mathieu van der Poel in turn, followed by biniam Grmay. And this looks like a slam dunk. Will Van der Poel be able to come off his wheel? I think that was more about managing and maintaining and not giving Jonathan Milan too much extra of an advantage. And really, there's very few points, the differential in points between the riders, the way that they calculate, basically 20 points for the first rider across the line of these intermediate sprints. 20, 17, 15, 13, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, it's tiny margins. That means you really do have to keep scoring all those big barrels.
They have to, and that's why we saw Milan trying to get in the breakaway. Mathieu van der Poel never really kind of sprinted there. He was quite content in taking in second place, and in fact, it was getting on Milan's wheel, and Grmay was happy on the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel. But when Milan opened up there was only going to be one winner of that sprint.
Fancy just sneaking into a little bit of attack as the climbing beckons now. I wonder whether there's time for an attack. And here comes Tadej Pogacar, just maintaining and managing close to the head of affairs. Interesting to see the yellow jersey presenting himself at this point. There's Julian Alaphilippe. Starts to set a hectic tempo. The crowd's out in force here. On the tour.
Yep. We start climbing, 18.6. You see Michael Storer just giving a little bit of instruction of what he wants. I just saw Pogacar just give Wellens a nudge just to kind of move him up towards the frontier.
It's good race management, isn't it? Surprising that we're not seeing more of the GC contenders, seeing that the yellow jersey is there, just ensuring that they are present at the front and not having to scrabble around. It's a long way to the top, and it is the first climb of the day. And scrolling down through the order. Puts a little bit more breathing space between himself and Tadej Pogacar. It's down to 28 up to 48 points of a difference. 20 points on offer at the finish line for the winning rider today. So you might be getting a little bit of a sinking feeling if you're rolling along back at the Peloton. Milan wasn't long about getting there, was he? Now he has to manage. I mean, it's objective achieved, number one. Second is to find the next group. There's the top riders, Turgi as well. Quinn Simmons, well, the Naval Trek squad also scoring and preventing others from scoring. Pogacar took a few.
He never went for it, he was just there. And because he's 15, he just rolled over. He never made any effort to come past anybody.
45 is the difference.
Josh Uber.
Yeah, Tourlet's open.
This is what I noticed earlier on. He gave Wellens a nudge, just going to set tempo on this climb.
Tourlet was not open back in 1909 when they came to have a look, and the report went back to say, yeah, absolutely, it's a perfect place, but it's absolutely abysmal with snow. And
the thing is, if you Team Emirates now are taking control of this is Buitrago trying to go now. If they're riding tempo and Breakaway needs to go, this is where the climbers will come out to the floor now. Buitrago there, we're looking a little bit further back. Is that Will Barter, Michael Storer in the black in the Juniper Cycling. Michael Woods is again towards the front. Carlos Rodriguez has moved up there. Ben Healy. Sepp Kuss is there. Castrillo. But this is going to be a real effort to try and get away on this climb. You have to make a real hard effort, and by the looks of things, Tim Wellens is just sitting, riding a good tempo here, and unfortunately you have to ride 1-2 kilometres an hour faster, and Wellens is quite content to just letting this or setting this tempo at the front.
Yeah, so how hard is the yellow jersey and his team going to ride this
That's
mountain?
the question. Do they really want the stage? They're capable of it. They've done nothing so far. Now we're only 110 kilometres to the finish of the stage. We're in the mountains, so do they want to win the stage?
Santiago Drago has a little flick of the elbow, looks around and sees that they have not yet detached the rest. It's still a very large peloton indeed, with the overall race leader Tadej Pogačar managing things nicely, close to the head of affairs, but fully 17 kilometres to the top of this hill. We're a long, long way before this becomes particularly demanding, as Biniam, Grmay and others. Danny Van Poppel didn't get involved in that sprint. Indeed, will be involved in the destination of stage honours today.
Got the feeling now, Declan, that what Tim Wellens did there and what he's doing at the moment, it looks as if Pogačar is quite happy to control this race. And for a breakaway to happen, it's very difficult to do it on a climb like this, and especially of this length, especially with the tempo beats up here. I think that they would have taken a couple of options here. And if I was in this group and I was thinking of the stage one, like you've just gestured to me there, I'd just sit there and go with this tempo and maybe attack over the top and go down the descent, because we've got a long descent and then you're on to the Col d'Aspin. I don't think there's much point of trying to go on the attack here with Wellens setting this tempo. By the looks of things, it looks as if UAE Team Emirates have kind of changed, and you never know what's going to happen. I think most would have thought that the breakaway would have gone by now. It would have been a few minutes down the roads. But because of the speed of the stage so far in the race, that hasn't happened.
Remco is further back than might be advised right now for a man who sits third overall, leading that young rider classification. You hinted a little bit earlier on today. Bad. I wonder if Remco's not in the fullness of his health.
No, that's bad. I noted him over the last couple of days that he's been sweating a lot. I know it's been hot, but he's been, you know, he looks as if he's out of sorts. He's at the back there because he's not good today. He's not good at all, and that's why I said, when you've got Red Bull and Oscar Onley, you know, these riders, they'll be doing something today because they'll want to try and kind of leapfrog, you know, hit Remco when he's not feeling good. I'm a little bit concerned for Remco now that he looks as if he could be shifting a lot of time today. If he's now at the back now, it does look as if he's struggling, because, you know, what is the reason here? So I feel that he's going to find it really tough today.
It was all going well, wasn't it, when he took the stage 5 time trial victory? Third last year, of course. And the 25-year-old Belgian is in a difficult moment on the climb. He's not the only one that has a little bit of
Anthony Turgis there.
After a good performance in the sprint, Turgis has collected a wheel, stayed on his race bike, and he'll go looking for friends. Meanwhile, we're coming to the sprint point, so what, several minutes back at this point, maybe 5 minutes or more. It is not just Schjelmose. He does have a car with him, so at least he's got that.
It's not good for Remco now.
Look at this. Yeah.
Not good at all. And the teammates have left him. I think
that's a signal, isn't it? He would have teammates around him if they really believed that it was possible to recover from this situation. But Remco Evenepoel, I think his further participation in this race at this point is possibly even in doubt.
Yeah, very much so. I very much think that is game over for him. He's going out the back now. he's not. You know, there's a lot of kind of speculation over the last couple of days, and I thought he did tremendously well, hanging on to third place, but getting dropped on the climb now. The Tourmalet at the bottom of the climb, game over.
Harrisman now trying his luck for the Ineos Grenadiers squad. The almost inevitable figure of Ben Healy lurking a little bit further back. The pace is not so fast from the yellow jersey group that it's preventing these attacks. And Kuss again, that's just flaming.
Kuss, I was just pointing out to Michael Woods. Michael Woods is back out of this. He was one of the riders that was looking to get in the breakaway. So Sepkus is here, Martinez, Ben Healy. You've already mentioned Aronsman, Michael Storer, Valentin, Harry Panzer, Rubio, Barre. Just going across there, it looks as if it's Anders Johannesson. We're getting a couple of more riders. It might be Ben O'Connor. This is looking a little bit more likely. The thing is, you have to ride hard. Woods is going, by the looks of things, going backwards here. He's been joined by a couple of riders here. And then you see the Peloton.
Right?
Yeah, he was there. He pulled out there. I don't think he's got good legs. But the thing is, you have to ride harder than you normally. See if the breakaway had established itself, you can ride here just up a unit tempo. But because you're trying to, Tim Wellens in trouble here, so you have to ride Armirai as well. You have to, when you're attacking on this climb and to gain the gap, you have to ride so much harder than the others.
Shaking the head from the Pyrenean, he knows this mountain better than most, and Bruno Armirai has been on the attack within the last few days now. He's desperately friendly, trying to stay thereabouts. Remco Evenepoel, I mean, he doesn't really want the attention. You can understand. There's a moment of huge frustration, and I mean, I think he has to understand that it comes with the territory, really. You are the leader of the young rider classification, you're third overall.
That's a big story.
And it is a story, and fundamentally you have to understand it, Remco, but he's irritated because he's so wanted. He's put so much of the last year and indeed his entire career into a really good performance in Tour de France 2025. It's not playing out the way he wants it. It's a moment of disappointment, and I suppose his irritation is to be understood. It's the first order business. Lenny Martinez now looking pretty good here. Very impressive time trial yesterday, 9th for the man who's second in that King of the Mountains classification.
But just look at, they've only got 29 seconds on the group. This is what I was saying. You have to ride so much harder than they probably normally would if they'd already established the breakaway. So they're having to ride, you know, that 1-2 kilometre an hour faster to gain any advantage at all, because the tempo just been sat at the front with UAE members. Well, I'm not surprised with Wellens. He started the tempo and he was dropped there. But Carlos Rodriguez, well, he had a bit of a dip a couple of days ago. Came out with a reasonable good time trial yesterday, and is looking to salvage something today. But Aronsman isn't helping him at all.
Yeah, well, is it that he doesn't want to ride across to Aronsman? I mean, it's not like he is on a flat road, is it? You could cruise up to your teammate.
Two is better than one, in my book. There needs to be a little bit of communication here. Ben Healy is the one that's kind of trying to drag them all back. But this is what I was saying before about the Visma. They seem to have changed tact a little bit. They realised that Vingegaard isn't as good. They want to keep a hold of the second place, but they want to give, I think, Sepkus that opportunity as well.
Carlos Rodriguez is the best placed of the riders that are floating off the front at the moment. Decent number of them, and doesn't look as if he's got the strength to close the gap to his teammate, or maybe doesn't want to drag a group of strong climbers, give them a free ride across.
Simon Yates.
Yeah, Yates, so they're looking to put multiple riders clear of the field.
Look, I might be wrong. This might be a big stage where Vingegaard decides, if he's Sepkus and Simon Yates in front, this could be a big day for Visma Leasebike.
Connor also suffering on the wheel of Simon Yates. Yates irritated by the flies and his insects you're inevitably going to encounter on these hills.
There's Higuita coming up here, Vlasov as well. So Red Bull putting a rider in front. Still a little bit active at the front of the peloton there, which has been led by UAE Team Emirates.
It's been moving very easily, isn't he? He's riding well at the moment. Looks certainly very much in control of this. Heels off the front, as if to... Yeah, he slops into the wheel of Martinez. I was wondering if for a moment he was thinking of going back.
Set piece is waiting for Simon Yates.
Wellens needs a little bit of assistance at the side of the road. Not sure what that was about. You noted that he's clearly not having as good a day as we saw from him in the last couple of days, because he was up front in the early break a few days ago. Very, very useful ally indeed to Tadej Pogacar. Helped to create the springboard for that remarkable attack on the Hurricane. Meanwhile, he's still got plenty of teammates in front of the yellow jersey at the moment. Niels Pollitt's still available on the lower slopes of the Tourmalet. The German rider, Sivakov, clearly is in better form than he has been as well. A long way to go to the top of the mountain, and Remco Evenepoel has, at the very least, got an ally in the shape of Pascal Encorn. So other riders thereabouts. Tesh Benoot on a bit of a day without, or is it a day where he's going to just try and find his legs, get to the finish line, and be of greater assistance on subsequent days to Jonas Vingegaard? Martinez moving very easily indeed. And Ina Rubio is kind of bubbling under, isn't he? He's pretty impressive on the Hurricane day.
Yeah, he's there in third place. I'm just looking at Valentin Pari-Pantra. The fact that his leader is being dropped and he's trying to come across to the front of this race. So it looks as if a couple of riders, Van Wilder as well, given the green light to try for the stage win.
So now Quick Step quickly changing their tack and absorbing the reality that Remco Evenepoel is no longer a threat on general classification. We're sure to have a shift today unless something remarkable happens and Remco Evenepoel is able to recover between now and the top of the Tourmalet and subsequent mountains, because this is just the start. This is the absolute beast that is the Tourmalet, and yet it is just the first of 4 mountain assaults that we've got, followed by the relatively short and shallow Col d'Aspin. By comparison, I hasten to add. Then you've got the Père d'Azur, Category 1 assault, before we've got an all-category climb to complete the day's activities. Nice little rainbow sleeve.
I was looking at that, yeah.
He was off his bike a few days ago, wasn't he? And he's still managing that little bit of scarring, a little bit of road rash.
But even in the time trial yesterday, I think they extended it looked like a kind of more aerodynamic designed, very thin arm armour or extension to his the skin suit yesterday.
Yeah, so much conversation about I mean, it was absolutely fascinating in terms of the technical approach to yesterday's time trial, because it's a relatively new thing, or recent thing. There haven't been that many mountain time trials indeed in Tour de France of late. So, yeah, the approach from various different teams, to lots and lots of conversation online, and very interesting articles, I have to say. I don't think Pogacar went for the most part conventional. Clothing did, of course, play a huge part, as Valentin Pari-Pantra has joined up front. So now a Quick Step trying to save something from a difficult moment, a difficult day for them. Already 1 minute 35 seconds down. That's about 40 seconds down on the Maillot Jaune. It's not all done just yet, if that clock is to be believed. Or is that 1:35 from Maillot Jaune back?
No, you're right. He's about 40 seconds down on the Maillot Jaune. So, unfortunately, Remco having a bad day, and this is why Pari-Pantra has been allowed to go into the front of the race. So, yeah, they knew this was going to happen, and I think it's been happening over the last couple of days. It just doesn't look good. But Ben Healy's in the group just behind, but Niels Pollitt stepping up yet again, riding at the frontier, where Tim Wellens is, he's the one that's at the back now. So 4 riders in front of Pogacar.
Yes, still plenty of allies on the yellow jersey in command of the group, chasing it almost a minute down now, and leading Ben on the climb isn't Ben Healy, it's Ben O'Connor now. It looks as if he and Romeo are about to arrive across. Ben Healy just starting to leave the rest, give a bit of an effort here.
McMass as well now.
McMass has been relatively quiet, but Movistar squad are very, very invested in this. Lots of riders prominent on the mountain. 15th overall for Emmet Mass, starting the day, 24 minutes and 36 seconds back. Staying this time, the campsite to the left. Let's get a pizza restaurant just on the left-hand side. The end of this match. It was at any rate a few years ago. Normally hasn't changed. Times and the characteristic of the villages can change. The architecture, people at the side of the road. The images remain constant and familiar. He's coming over. Able to make a bit of an effort to do it, and it ramps up here. It just becomes quite a bit more demanding than it was in the previous sort of half a kilometre or so. Jordan Gigat at the back of the group. And, Alexander Vlasov as well. It's not available for Primoz Roglic, nor indeed for Florian Lipovic, as things currently stand.
Just looking at, I think I said it was one of the twins from UnoX that was coming across here. Just looking at the update here, it looks as if it is Tobias.
Well, that would be remarkable. That would be an interesting development, because Tobias Allen sitting 8th overall, of course, and he's certainly
but that's the information that I'm getting. So I've not seen. Hopefully, we'll get back to the front of sort of one. Hard to see from here. Twins are very difficult to see them apart, but
especially if they're on the same team.
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit easier from the Yates twins these days, thankfully. Different teams, different agendas, different objectives. Simon Yates here. His brother Adam in the service of the overall race leader. Simon Yates has a stage win under his belt. Would dearly love, if it were possible, for Jonas Vingegaard to close the significant gulf, 4 minutes and 7 seconds back to his teammates, Jonas Vingegaard.
Yeah, it's definitely Johannesson. I thought it was a brother, but 8th overall. It looks like Anders to me.
We'll try and get a number. It is hard to pick them out, isn't it? Another brother there as well, of course, commenting Harry Pontre, his brother Aurelien races with the Decathlon HE2R team. Hey, Martinez is he's scampering up this climb, but he has to be mindful of the fact that it's a long, long way to go. Still 10.5, so about half the climb. And the most demanding kilometre of all is the last kilometre.
Yeah, you had that a few days ago from the team. That, you know, just think of the whole stage and not just keep on going for the King of the Mountains points and wasting energy. He did that a few days ago, where he should be. He was told by the team, just remember, you know, save something. Potentially, there's a stage winner for grabs as well. But he seems to be quite content and, you know, making sure and pushing us on to try and get as many points as possible.
Well, he'll take the lead. He'll take the virtual lead of the King of the Mountains classification if he leads over the top of the Tourmalet, and there are enough riders between himself and yellow jersey Tadej Pogačar. Having said that, though, Pogačar is still the red-hot favourite for stage honours today, and there's all category points at the top of the final climb as well. So that one's set to yo-yo a little bit. More points in between this climb and the last. Of course, all category climbs neatly bookending our 4 classified hills. Quite the sort of constant scrolling around and change among the personnel at the front. Martinez invests and Aronsman joins him. Harry Pontre back on. Ben Healy, who looked as if it was a bit of a chore for him to get involved. Now finds himself almost at the very front of the race. These riders continuing to put daylight into the Maillot group, albeit you'd have to say it's a sterling performance from Niels Pollitt, ordinarily thought of as a climber for these hills, and he's managed to lead them up almost half of it now. Few mountains as long. Few mountains in Tour de France history is demanding. Ewan Costu, we saw him in the time trial yesterday. He's floundering. I wouldn't say floundering. I mean, there's most of the bike race behind him at this point. Breakaway. We saw again when he went out the back early on in the Haute stage. We feared for his prospects, but what a fighting performance! He can battle. He knows how to measure his effort.
Yeah, but there's something not quite right. And what is it? Is it an illness? What is it? The trouble here? He's moving over to the right hand side now, and maybe he can't go with Eincon. The testing thing is, where's his climbing domestics? Eincon is not climbing domestic. He just moved out the line there, and he's going further behind. This is not normal, and this is not good.
It's a mixed message, isn't it? His climbing domestics have been given a free rein to go ahead, so it's as if they've accepted at the outset of the day that this was likely to happen, and it's green light situation. Even Romeo can't follow that pace either. He's decided to ease up and cruise to the top of the mountain. Ana Rubio still representing, I think, from Abis North. I'm not sure where Enric Mas is. He certainly was thereabouts, but well, they are represented with at least one rider.
No, he's moving further behind now. You can't. It's a real tough time for Remco Evenepoel. Been caught in the time trial yesterday by Vingegaard, and now in a situation where he's just going backwards.
Connects to fire, just not enough cooperation, and clearly he and Martinez believe that this is just not the pace required to win the stage. Another rider who lays it all out there, just goes and goes again, doesn't he? Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, like the way he rides, heart on his sleeve, and is desperate to try and get that stage win, and a day that kind of suits him. He's one of the riders we kind of mentioned before, but this again isn't looking good because Eincon has just rode away from his team leader, and so the big question looms again. What does Remco do here? Does he continue to suffer like he's doing at the moment?
It's over 100 kilometres remaining, well over half the stage remaining. We've still got half of the first of 4 climbs remaining. There's a long way to go at this point. He continues to resist, but you feel that it's going to be a really challenging afternoon for Remco Evenepoel. He will fight to stay in the race as long as possible, although a rider of his calibre and stature, if he starts to leak significant amounts of time, you wonder whether there's a real value. And that's the conversation I think that might be going on right now.
Yeah, this is conversation. I think it's a no. Remco, this is a story. This is a huge story. Can't go. No, he's not. I don't think he's going on. And plus, you can't hold on to the car.
Yeah, you only get a few seconds of that. There'll be a little bit of a whistle, I suspect. There is a commissar not too far away.
Yeah, can't hold on to the car. That's why the whistles were coming there. That's it. It's all over. Unfortunately for Remco Evenepoel, that's the end of his race.
And the irony of ironies, coming past a cardboard sign that said "Go Remco." That irony will be lost on him.
Olympic champion Remco Evenepoel. What will happen? كبرات هذا تتقن ليزدنا ناي عقبة بولاتان مقبار شمون تنتبع كيلومتر فول تاريخهم مالو جوناثان ميلان أكملت كويني مرحلة مسكالايو وما تحاليتنا حدد إسران تسها كواحد عن عشرين 10 شعات خالي ترحيق مالو تيجي بوكا شاب سالسة مسمارالو
He just accelerated there to make sure he get 2 fresh bottles there.
ናይ ሎማ ዓንቲ ብዓቐበት ዝበዝሖ ስለ ዝኾነ ንበዓል ቢንያም ዘገድስ ዓይነት ፀወታ ኣይኮነን ኣብታ ናይ ዝነበረት ናይ ኢንተርሚዲየት ስፕሪንት ቢንያም ሳልሳይ ከም ዝረኣናዮ ሳልሳይ ወፂኡ ሎማ ዓመት ከም ተፀበነ ኣይኮነን ኢንተርማሽን ቢንያም ዝኣክል ድጋፍ ክህቦ ይከኣለትን I wonder እንደዒ ኣብ ዝቕፅል መቸም ማርያም ኣስመሬት ገለ ነገር ተሪእና ትኸውን እምበር ክሳብ ሕጂ ከም ናይ ዓመ ሓጎስና ሓንቲ ሲኢና ኣለና ኢንሻላ ሕጂ ትናትና ዝበሎ ኣምላኽ ኣዳልይዎ ኣሎ ግን እዚ ስለ ዝኾነ ናይ ቢንያም ብቕዓት ስለ ዘይኮነ ናይ ጋንታ ደገሚ እዚ ኸማን ቢንያም ግርማይ ካብ ናይ ዓም ብቕዓት ኣነፃፂርካ ክገኝ ኮንካ ስለ ናይ ሎማ ዓመት ብቕዓት ኸማን ዝበልፅ ኮይኑ ይስምዓካ ግን ናይ ድጋፍ ጋንታ ዘይምርካብ ብዙሕ ሃሲ እዩ እስኩም እስከ ኣብ ኮመንት ከዓ እስከ ኣስክሩልና ርኢኹም ትማሊ ብጣዕሚ ወላ ንባዕሉ ሁሉ ኮሉ ሰብ ብፀገም ወዲኡ ካብ ዮናስ ሊንግጋ ናይ ክተዳቐም ክሳይኑ የሕዝን እዩ ከምዚ ዓይነት ንፍዕ ተፃወታ ከምዚ ወዲኡ ክብሪ ብጣዕሚ እዩ ዘሕዝነካ ዓስ ኣነ የደንፀካ ገለ ወይ ሓሚሉ ሎ ወይ ገለ ኮይኑ ክኸውን ኣለዎ እዚ መስል ተፃዋታ ሲ ከም ያ ቅድሚትካ ንሪኦም ዘለና ነለካ ድሮ 7-5 ተረክቦም ኣሎ ኪንጎፍ ዝማውንቱ ታዲያ ዓቐበት እዩ 20% ኣይመስለኒ ታውስታይ
flags and lots of tricolor in support of William 8th overall. That's a really impressive effort from Bas Johansson, and an interesting scenario for the others gravitating around him. Felix off 3 minutes off the podium. And Martinez is like a scalded cat. He's decided that he's just not happy enough with the pace. O'Connor in turn has put the rest of them behind him, so it's a fascinating investment here from Lenny Martinez. Looks at carried away. Yeah, he needs to be told to settle down, and he is. I think now he's just realised he's settled down. Lenny, there's a long way to go in this. You look as if it gets steeper towards. I don't think Ben O'Connor will be worried about the King of the Mountains points. So just settle it down. Misty up there, isn't it? We are rising. Here we go. Here's this difficult moment. It's something that he wasn't contemplating, wasn't thinking about through the months of the trials and tribulations. It's been such a difficult year for him. Of course, he crashed in training. He was sort of impact with a car door from a postal van in Belgium during the winter. Long comeback, came back with a bang at Brabantse paled a beautiful success, and it looked as if it was all going in the right trajectory for Remco Evenepoel, but whether the comeback was too short or whether it's further compromised by some other illness or malady, medical malady, or it's just that the wheels have fallen off because it doesn't quite have the legs for it. This scene as well, recorded images from earlier on today, just picking up on this one. Matthias Schermoser has been forced to stop. Well, he's got lots and lots of bandages, as you can see. He's got,
but look at the amount of bandages on him. We saw him last. The blood that came to the surface of that. It's a long way for it to come. I think he's just looking too much.
Evenepoel is out of Tour de France 2025. It's disconsolately into the team car, and he will get as far away from this bike race as quickly as possible, away from the glare of publicity, and who would blame him? Difficult moment for the 25-year-old Belgian rider. No Belgian since 1976, and that is a situation that will continue to prevail. Almost instantly projected into a top 10 situation in general classification. Having said that, looks as if he's just finding the pace. The breakaway riders a little bit challenging here. Riding his own mountain, but it's been a really busy couple of weeks of racing for that. He stage win a couple of days in the jersey, and he was just in a solid rhythm. But I think everyone is in their own little private purgatory on this mountain. Has performed with stellar distinction in actual fact as a mountain domestique for Jonas Vingegaard in recent years. He hasn't been quite as effective though in this year's Tour de France. Nonetheless, second place finish on the stage and prospect of other breakaway efforts to come, and so many different groups on this climb. Simon Yates too, stage win already in this year's tour. To go with his overall success in the Giro d'Italia. That's the Giro d'Italia winner, actually. So, finding the pace a little bit demanding. It's at 100 kilometers remaining. Martinez and Ben O'Connor locked in a bit of a duel against themselves and the Tourmalet. Meanwhile, the rest cruising in single file.
I think it's great that Tobias Johannesson is here, but now he's only about a minute off the podium.
Yeah, and he's effectively 7th overall as a result of the abandonment of Breakaway. But of course, as you say, really close to what will be a remarkable podium finish. So sure we've ever had a Norwegian on the podium in the Tour de France. Remarkable situation. Lenny Martinez alone against the Tourmalet. In the mist at the top of the climb, we heard that the temperatures might be as low as 10 degrees Celsius at the top. Of course, the advantage on this hill is it's quite as warm. They've got a little bit of cloud cover. It's going to make this. They did well, didn't they? They all got a t-shirt. Probably been cruising around France, and how many stages have they already been to? We've accumulated as many polka dot t-shirts.
I think the question will come from the other GC contenders with the possibility of, do they want Tobias Johannesson to move into or leapfrog them? We see this often in Grand Tours that riders are always ready to protect. So with the Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe now on a podium position with Lipovic. Roglic's not that far away. Well, we've got a rider up the road here in the blood and custard of UNOX, riding rather well.
Running less well is Santiago Buitrago, who was on the attack. Clearly has just not been able to follow the pace and has decided to ratchet it back, and riders of their caliber can slow it up, recover a little bit.
استعلوكم كان قالوا مثلا كبتصح بزح لما عن تاب يوتيوب سلدي تزرق حشة وغيركم منها أبالك كان خبتصح كام حجزنا نية
Still, Pollux has the legs to tap out a rhythm. 2 minutes down on the attackers at front, the yellow jersey. Absolutely content with this one, and it's a fairly thin-looking group for a rider of Niels Pollitt's stature to be able to still control the pace on. So you'd have to say this is a fine performance from the German rider with the UAE squad. Martinez clear. Still 5k to the top. The Trago, of course, helped Martinez into the move. That's a good performances so far from Lenny Martinez, 9th in the time trial yesterday. On stage 10.
You have to say as well that
الجيم يلهم طبعا رايحين ولا نابو نهو تبعوه
يكونون
مهنياتو حدا هم يتلكون ولا أي تحققوا من دلو يرجع طبعا رايحين نهو دلو زين أبغى داتين أورلو ترى أنا لما
surprised at this from Ben Healy as well, but then again it's big high mountains, and I think he already said the other day that was the thing.
He's not quite in it this year, but he ranks in the very highest mountains. Clouds swell in size as we get closer to the top of the mountain.
I still think he's just getting carried. He's 37 seconds in front. He doesn't have to go this hard.
His grandfather, Mariano, won the King of the Mountains title of Tour de France 1978. So Orthodox means something in his family, and maybe he's just laser focused on the points to the exclusion of all else.
And plus there's a prize at the top of this one as well, the Tourmalet, the highest points. So, but you can pare it back a little bit and still win the maximum points.
Quite challenged. Now seventh overall in Tour de France. Just joining us, Breakaway, the ball. Third place starting the day. Has been forced to abandon. Best young rider and the world champion of the time trial has been suffering over the last 5 days. Distanced from the lower slopes of the first part of his into the tournament.
Like
fourth kilometers off the top of the first climb, but tournament claim it first victim. Another difficult day as well for
بحبوا نمسح عن شعاتنا ترديفرانس لاي كينج اوف ذا ماونتين شامبيون زين حاجه تيرو كم ناي فاندرتون ناي ابو تاريخ تدقمي مالك ناي ابو حبو تاريخ ناي فاميلي ليجاسي مالك انت ما شغلنا اللوها بدحي
But actually, we just heard Matis Skjelmose abandoned, and that was shown to us, but took down my notes at the key moment. So, Matis Skjelmose unfortunately abandoning after sustaining just a heavy arm injury, and he was losing an awful lot of blood. Discretion, the better part of valor there for another disappointed rider. Tour de France 25 hasn't worked out the way that he would have liked. Still there's spots available for Tadej Pogacar on the front. Tadej Pogacar is deep in conflict there with Adam Yates. A decent group available. Messi cycle to Hanover. You good boy, wala sabena. Course na Ronaldo.
Not only is Col de Tourmalet a big challenge for the riders, but after Tourmalet, the descent of Tourmalet, there awaits another challenge for the riders. As you can sense here, it's very, very foggy. We can only sense 50 meters ahead. If you follow me around here, you can sense behind us, behind the camper van over there, 50 meters, and they have a really sharp right turn. The riders will not be able to see it in the front, and therefore, maybe you can sense also the lights of the cars, how foggy and how poor the visibility is. Therefore, the map of the riders' computers are going to be very, very important to look down, to follow where the bends, where the turns are coming up. We have seen many scouts already out, team cars reporting back to the sports directors in the race, so the riders will be aware, but for now, it's very, very foggy and poor.
Yeah, they're within 3 kilometers of beginning that descent down towards Limoges and below. By the time they get to Limoges, they should have cleared the mist, but if they can get through the early hairpins unscathed, it is going to be slightly sketchy moment. The images you get on television don't quite tell the story. You do get a sense of the corners coming up, but yeah, it definitely will be challenging for those riders to begin that descent. will be the points at
Jambo
which will
Bisma, Nella
plunge
Carola,
away from the highest point
from the
of
GC
Tour de
Riders.
France 2025. Henry Martinez,
Among the Galanagar Mukurats, the Hello Garni,
the Basques from the Colombians.
Marion asking Garbul is not you, Hachana. Improve to go Baha, some by Jambo Bisma has I go
لو ما أعتقد اللي صار له حتى تجي لا برتعيد غير جله. مارتينيز اللي صار له ثم غيره.
Continues to plough on. It's a brave effort for the 22-year-old from Caen. The Trophy La Guelia in 2024 is a big success for him. On Mont Ventoux Challenge as well in 2023. Classic VAR. They're all big races. They're all good races. Quite at the scale of the Tour de France. That's a stratospheric level. Stage victory in Paris-Nice earlier this year, giving us a signal that he was coming into a good year, and then that victory in Criterium du Dauphiné as well. It's a kind of stage success in Tour de Romandie, but again, he would give at least one of those, and maybe a couple of them, if he were able to claim the King of the Mountains title in Tour de France. The French rider. It's a completely different scale of excitement. And pretty much everyone in world cycling is to do a decent ride in the Grand Prix, including Emil Stringer there for the Abis de Koenig squad. Riders, and he's moved up to the Abis de Koenig squad this year, first year at World Tour. So they're eggs in the Matthew van der Poel, Jasper Philipsen basket coming into this year's race, but options for Stringer. Second on the stage of Tour de l'Avenir, the Tour de France for developing riders last year. Jackets on already for riders in that group. I can feel the temperature dropping despite the effort that they're making. Mayo continuing to lose time to a fired up Lenny Martinez, who's now finds himself 1 minute 25 seconds up on the group of Tobias Hallen Johansson. It's about a minute and a half to the Tadej Pogacar group. Costume also about to be absorbed by the GC favourites after his adventures out front for the Arkea B&B hotels. Kevin Vogel is feeling in that group. Costume can hang on over the top. Within a kilometre and a half, the top of the awkward bit really is that this is the toughest part of it. Very misty.
I don't know. I don't
want to wait for the arrival of Ben Healy, who's back with the group of favourites. We think he's still there at the moment. $1,200 meters to the top of the Tourmalet, and it is a climb that you literally reach the top and you're straight into the descent within a matter of meters. It's almost there's absolutely no plateau feeling about the Tourmalet. You're straight into the descent, barely a moment's respite. So you can understand why the riders are anxious to get their jackets as quickly as possible before they get to the top.
And of course, it gets steeper as we get to the top as well. It's very difficult to get your jacket on, but it's getting cooler anyway. But and he's going to do this. I think a couple of riders, they're the ones that are kind of pushing on towards the front of this group. But I can't believe the amount of time that Lenny Martinez has got. 1:35 over the next group on the road, and he's on his own. You go into this descent, and when you're committed like this, you'll have to continue. There's no reason. If he sits up a little bit on the descent and comes back, I can only think that he's going to keep on pushing on. He'll come on to the Aspan after the descent and continue with that. This is a solo effort, because you would think, Declan, that if he sits up over the top, it's a wasted effort.
What was the point? Yeah.
140 now. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's if he wasn't particularly confident of his descending, you could understand that he might want to have a bit of an advantage. But 140 and rising, and that's on a different scale, isn't it? It's impressive, it has to be said. I mean, how many riders have been with him and have decided, I just can't follow this kind of level? So he's got the level, but how is he thinking about the climbs to come? He's looking anxiously over his shoulder. I don't think he's going to get much evidence of any other riders.
No, this is looking more like a gacha day now, because the gap is
فتني بحبها دقم خمسي فوا
only talked about just over a minute and a half, minute 40, to the Johannesson group, so it's not a lot at this stage, and it's looking more like the team Emirates are controlling things, so we could see another Pikachu stage run.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Martinez to stay out front. It's certainly going to be difficult for the Johannesson group. They have not quite the same level of advantage. For Martinez, those sketchy top kilometres of the descents down towards La Manche and down underneath, down out of the mist and into Greater Valley. At least with a margin, he will be able to maybe just take it ever so slightly more cautiously. And with Mass now picks up on the front of this group. Pretty much everyone has a jacket on. Still very much present in that move. Rubio too. The crowds. It might be the first of 4 climbs today, but these crowds are worthy of a summit finish. We've had those in the past on the tournament. Double ascent of the tournament back in 2010, of course, in the centenary. I mean, what will this be doing to his, this is an exciting moment in any rider's career. For a French rider in the polka dot jersey, albeit he's second in that classification, but he's about to go to top spot. And it's an emotional moment, and he'll barely feel the pedals, just the surge of adrenaline, the buzz he's getting from this one. Thumbs up.
One of
the most iconic.
Yes, even next week, I'm going to hand them in pay.
Back in 1910. Criminals, they call them, for introducing led the charges against Henri de Gauche. Criminals hosted 3 stage victories. 1974, Jean-Pierre Blangueon. 2010, Andy Schleck. 2019, Thibaut Pinot. Now it's the first of 4 appointments. Racing past the commemorative statue of Jacques Godet, which was introduced or was put up there in time for the 2001 edition.
Looks like maybe Michael Wood's interested in the second place at the top of the climb.
It's been just making a bit of a room for himself as he approaches, but almost a 2-minute advantage. And now you get a sense of just how sketchy this one is. We've got very little visibility on our lens. That's, I suppose, as a result of the mist, and also the droplets of rain created by the mist. But Martinez, one hopes he takes it as cautiously as he needs to do, because he's got a healthy advantage. And just a minute and a half of this group back to the Mayo Jean. Milan, the rest of the sprinters already at 11.5 minutes behind. Long day for them. And Julian Alaphilippe's going old style here. He's managed to catch a cardboard sign. He's going to use that. Very old school. He's definitely Michael Woods claims second place points on the top of the Col du Tourmalet. Will he continue to pursue alone? You get the sense that he's just going to take care of business with the points. Accumulation, 15 points for Woods. starting the day fourth on 22 points. So actually within 5 points at the outset of the day. Lenny Martinez finds himself 10 points behind, but it's on the closest to the catcher. So Woods still is very much in the hunt for that mountains classification.
عباي بيجي
That's a big shift for him. Recover as best he can. 18, 19 kilometers down to the
floor of the champion. The
old days, that is which records he's gone for cardboard. Well, he will get plenty of wind protection from that, and that'll keep the chest warm. He's great, isn't he? Julian Alaphilippe, always entertaining.
أنا مع السريع قاطعين
بس زحلزون خدان عند حرارة كم نفسهم كافي نوعهم جاكات سايكل هالكون نفسهم التي ويزر محكلها معهم هم خالي إنرجي سلزون
ready to enjoy the next little while as Niels Holland takes the group of favourites across the top of the Tourmalet. It's been actually certainly a dramatic day so far. We'll catch up with them very shortly, but it has been dramatic. If you're just catching up with us, breaking news today. A couple of high-profile abandonments. First of all, the crash for Matis Kelmoza got back in his bike, but badly gashed left arm is clearly losing blood and somewhere adrift off the Peloton. So the mature, I think, decision was taken for the middle trek rider to abandon the race. Unfortunately, he's out. And then the big news a little while after that, when they rode on to the first climb of the day, first of 4 big climbs on this absolute beast of a day. It was Breakaway, the ball third overall, but unfortunately forced to start going backwards almost instantly, and then had a big conversation with the team car down through Limoges. It's a tiptoe effort here for your stage leader, Lenny Martinez.
بتعامل قلقلات يزول حجي يحمد بيزول مسرعة مارتينيز.
Jonathan, it has been a dramatic day so far.
Yeah, so dramatic. It was, and what gets more dramatic than your visibility being at 50 metres on the descent from the Tourmalet. The change in temperature, Julian Alaphilippe ripping cardboard off a side to stuff down his top in order to keep himself warm. It's just got absolutely everything. And those 3 riders pulling out as well, as you mentioned, but the biggest of whom, Remco Evenepoel. There was just a hint in the interview that we heard from him that we broadcast in the introduction to today's programme, where he said, I had a bad day, I don't really want to dwell on it, I'm hoping it's nothing worse. So it sounded as though he was already lining himself up for, I actually think this is worse, I think I'm ill. And that was just in evidence right from the off, and desperately wanted to get the cameramen. This was close.
Wow.
He's got an advantage on the rest on the next trip on the road, but I'm interested to see the down through Limoges, down much further on this descent. It's completely different weather conditions on the other side of this mountain, isn't it? I was half expecting that the mist would disappear within a couple of kilometres, but that's not quite the case just yet. And clearly, Lenny Martinez and the rest of the riders are going to have to face these really challenging tippy-toe conditions for much of this daunting mountain. And it's, so stressful, isn't it? Because they've been riding up the hill for almost 19 kilometres, and you're looking for a tiny bit of respite, but, it's hard to get that. There's so much extra stress, and you're trying to stay as relaxed as possible, keep your shoulders as loose, and keep your neck, from tightening up, keep your body from becoming rigid, because when that happens, well, it's very difficult to it's easy to get cold as well. But as well as that, just can send signals into the bike that can so easily lead to. It's very difficult to stay upright in that scenario. So staying loose to thread your way down this descent is going to be challenging. Lutsenko needs a little bit of assistance from neutral service. The Shimano crew got, I think, deserved plaudits for the speed with which they serviced Tadej Pogacar when he unshipped his chain in that crash a few days ago. And then again, that again for Alexei Lutsenko, I think, was a nice piece of neutral service. Martinez now out of the mist, so that's at least something, but still wet roads, and that's something that we heard as well at the start of the day, that while the roads would dry up on the approach to the Tourmalet, there was every chance that they would then again face rain and wet. Further challenges from the weather from now until the end of the day, and as it's proving, it's going to be a tough one in so many ways.
So there are the points that we just amassed. It means that Lenny Martinez does move back into the lead in the polka dot jersey by his own right. Michael Woods with his 15 points, he moves up level on points with Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah, within 10 points of Lenny Martinez. There's a bit of a scrap developing there, and I don't know whether you managed to hear those comments from Brian. He was talking about whether this is a little bit of a folly. It's quite the adventure for your leader out front. Martinez with a decent advantage with the show group, Kuss group at 1:13 now, so it looks as if Martinez has lost a bit of time on this descent, which then makes it even more of a folly potentially. So Martinez, there you go, it's 10-point lead over Pogacar and Michael Woods in the King of the Mountains. Yes, Brian was suggesting that this might be a little bit of a folly and a dangerous approach from Lenny Martinez. It's a long day.
Well, we're not sure where Michael Storer sits at the moment.
On the hill, yeah. This group currently showing it 1:16. Allison, now that group is clearly split on the approach to and on the descent of the Tourmalet.
So it's Martinez, and then Michael Woods was next over, Alexander Vlasov, then we had Alansman, Parepart, Kus, Storer and Rubio. They're the riders who picked up points in the King of the Mountains over the Tourmalet, and also with the Souvenir Jacques Codet, Lenny Martinez would have got a little bit of a bonus prize there as well.
Yeah, it's a big deal for him, isn't it? I mean, the Martinez family hugely invested in this polka dot jersey. His grandfather won it back in 1978. It's a proud moment for him, and again, Brian was, suggesting this man can win a stage, and he could take the Mountains points and still remain in the hunt for stage honours, whereas this is all in to score as many points as possible before an almost inevitable capitulation on the approach to or on the lower slopes of the final climb of the day of Superbanya.
وخمزي يدلنا زلون سمعوا زلنا طعمي حقوس يلو في فاميلو تاريخ بعضو سرزقنا دسي خاز بلك تاريخ بعضو خمجا
Jonathan Milan to take the top points at the intermediate sprint, so the green jersey holder is topping up his points total nicely today. He's some way adrift now. Last time we heard, about 12 minutes or more behind the race lead. Cohesion, 3:45 now. Alexander Vlasov struggled a bit on the Tourmalet, didn't he? He found himself behind the group of favourites. So, great ally or assistance too. He'd love to get up to try and help Florian Lipovitz and Primož Roglič. And the Red Bull Waterhouse squad in the ascendancy because they're now on the podium.
Well, the fascinating element on top of Red Bull getting onto the main podium now is also that battle in the white jersey that's really going to hot up, because coming into today, the white jersey standings, it was already looking like it was going to be a very, very interesting battle between Lipovitz and Evenepoel. But now, with Evenepoel having stepped off, you also bring into the mix, you've got Oscar Onley's there, Kevin Vokala is there as well. So in the white jersey standings, it's a really, really fascinating battle, because Lipovic, he only has a 47-second lead over Oscar Onley and 51 seconds over Kevin Vokala. So all three of those riders, they're all in great form, and they're all doing really, really well on this tour. And as a consequence, for one of them, well, at least it's the one jersey we know that today Pogacar can't win.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a razor's shout of winning three of them, which hasn't happened all that often. I think you've got to go back to Eddie Merckx. Indeed, he didn't win all three jerseys because the King of the Mountains jersey didn't appear until 1975. So it won three classifications. Those three classifications. So it's certainly on offer. Jonathan Milan's getting nervous, isn't he, by the potential for Tadej Pogacar, because he could win today, he could win on home too. He's got at least another two, maybe three opportunities to win stages. He's already won four. It's remarkable stuff from Pogacar. Just by sheer dint of his voracious appetite for stage victories, could potentially win the points classification along with it, without necessarily targeting the intermediate sprints along the way. Similarly, because his climbing prowess is such that he'll claim stage victories on big mountains, he's also inevitably going to gravitate towards the top of that classification, and that clearly too is making Lenny Martinez feel a little bit nervous. And something that makes everyone nervous, isn't it? It's the fact that once it rains, the disc brakes start to squeal.
They do squeal. We'll touch wood. So far, we haven't seen anyone go down. I was minded to remember, actually, just the other day when Tadej Pogacar came off his bike, and they sat up and waited. That great show of sportsmanship from Vingegaard a few years ago when they were on a descent and Pogacar just misjudged it slightly, went down.
ክቡራት ተዓዘዝቲ ናይ ኔትወርክ ፀገም ክምለስ እዩ
as we approach the higher slopes of the Aspen. Lenny Martinez settles in now to understand what he's got, and what he's got is an advantage of 57 seconds over Sepp Kuss. This has been really impressive to Sepp. We haven't seen it, but we know by the stopwatch that Sepp Kuss is on a bit of a charge here. Useful for Jonas Vingegaard to put a rider clear, and an interesting scenario for him to have a rider available to him later on if there's any chance of perhaps exploring any sort of weakness from Tadej Pogacar. It might be wishful thinking at this point, but Kuss is ready, willing and available. The final 77 kilometres. Fascinating as well to see how well Tobias Hallen Johannesson is going, and also that he was both willing to attack and was given that little bit of leeway by others, because he's now up to 7th overall as a result of the abandonment of Remco Evenepoel.
عبيتي سبسكرايب شير لايك እንዳገበርና خلق ባጻሕ ማንታን ለቶም ዜሪዎ ዘሎ ማንታን ባጻሕ ዳተሓበርና
So many different groups fragmented across the road at the
طعم
moment.
حبس رغاغط تريلا
As Brian
مارتينيز
made any noises about what he thinks the lead needs to be onto that final climb.
He didn't give the number, but it's fairly, I would say Brian's general thinking is that Lenny Martinez this is something of a folly, and that he is going to struggle to have a decent advantage by the time they come to the final climb, because there's so much time between now and then. And certainly the group of the Hallen Johannesson group does not have enough right now to be confident of maintaining it.
ኔትወርክ በጣም ታች መጀመር አለ ሐቂሎ
كورة تخطاتلتي أمونغو نيتورك تجان توجي بدالو نيتورك كنا لنا عالي نقالوا محبات عشر سبسكرايب ناقبتو
The legs going to be those muscles where you can often stiffen up a little bit, particularly on a cold descent, as they've faced, and now having to ride into the second climb of the day where you felt okay on the first climb, you were right with them, and then suddenly it just is a little bit more challenging to make those muscles do what you want them to do, even if it is on a climb that's nothing like as demanding.
Para saber que volvió.
ما يزعل تقول طعم عبالي مستي فرنش مهانو خان تلق عابي تربين بيزيرو ما سهون تقدر ما ينبعدو
Plenty of support now. Let's get a look at what we've got because Chris has been joined by Valentin Paré-Pontre. These are your closest chasers to the leader at front, and where his advantage for a little while showed 155. I'm not sure if that was a real. It was 145, wasn't it? Very close to the top, so it probably was a real one. This is a huge effort. Really impressive stuff done by Sepkus and indeed by Valentin Paré-Pontre on the descent. And Paré-Pontre, very quickly we saw that when Remco Evenepoel was being delayed and struggling and in conversation with his team car, that Paré-Pontre and Van Wilder indeed were clear and not waiting for Remco Evenepoel. So we knew instantly at that point, didn't we, that he was that Evenepoel was in difficulty and that these riders have been given their own opportunity.
زين كاخلتين طعامتين دلو كثرين على من ملت
يا 24 سكند هجم له ግን دحني متحاور له حتى عايشت تتبعون يرون اعتذروا ولا نعون حجز مهون بين كنا وحده.
So often in the history of this event, Jonathan, the Tourmalet has been paired with the Aspen.
Yeah, it's that double whammy, and it's a cruel double whammy as well.
I'm by vision level ahead. I'm from the Decisive school one was a half the one. Was a side of the with an online
last time we had just a little order of around about 3:45, maybe 4 minutes down on the leader of the stage, Lenny Martinez, local man, and in the polka dot jersey. And into the lead of that classification, having started second to the man in picture, the overall race leader Tadej Pogacar, who's sitting pretty, he's confident at the moment. He's got Pavel Sivakov on the front of the group of favourites. All the usual suspects are there. Niels Pollitt's still available as well. He's been the most valuable player in terms of domestique duties so far today. And Pollitt and Sivakov so comfortable and so composed in their work that they're able to have a little bit of a chat. And while there's absolutely no threat from Lenny Martinez over narrow down in general classification. There's a bid for more points for the King of the Mountains classification, potentially, if he manages to stay clear over the top of the
of things to improve, so we have to take it step by step. But we saw what he showed during the season this year. He's an excellent rider, and for sure there is bright future. But there are many steps to improve, so we are working on that. Of course, he has time. We cannot change everything from one day to the other, so there will be these ups and downs. But I'm pretty sure he can give us the glory in this Tour de France.
Yeah, it's an interesting analysis there from Roman Kroos. He is 22, of course, since the 11th of July. Still a callow youth at Grand Tour level. And Lenny Martinez, as Roman Kreuziger acknowledged there, Jonathan is still very much learning his trade. Up one day, down another, and he's got a lot to learn tactically, but what a talent.
A great talent, and a rider who, what you say, he's just a bit erratic at the moment, and that is something that you can afford sometimes in shorter races, but in the Tour de France it is all about consistency, and at the moment it just feels that there are only two riders who are displaying anywhere near the level of consistency that you need in order to succeed. But Lenny Martinez, well, I think polka dots, I think this is a wise pick for him to try and go and get involved in that. And he said that sort of spin of the legs, he did okay yesterday in the time trial. And when he was interviewed beforehand, he was saying that although doing well in the time trial, it was just to loosen the legs ahead of today's real test.
Oh, the leg loosener, wasn't it? I mean, he finished 9 points for top 6 on that climb yesterday. It was rated a Cat 1, and we thought that was an adventure to try and add to his points total.
كورات تخاتلت ناي نيتورك تساقامي اندا استخاخل ناي نازلنا.
It's been a long time since Bernardino Maya Jean on the Champs-Élysées. Position for the Rebel War Hansgrohe squad. Very much in the ascendancy. Fine time trial yesterday. 3rd and 4th place finishes for Primož Roglič and Florian Lipovic. And Roman Bardet pointing out to us that Primož Roglič still has the honour of having his bike the most prominent and most easily accessible under the roof of the Rebel War Hansgrohe team car. And it's a tough day out there, I think, for Roman Bardet. He's on the motor. It's been a great contribution so far from the recently retired racing cyclist Roman Bardet. I wonder how much he's enjoying this one on the motorcycle. Let's hear from you.
We've just finished the downhill in Tourmalet, and it feels like we were in March or November. It's pretty cold, and there were really no visibility. It makes the task really harder for the riders, and some of them could go like Aurélien Valentin Paré-Peintre, and others were also in really difficulties, like Michael Storer, who is not just able to put a rain jacket on, and it's pretty cold, and there is no at the moment real cooperation in the chasing group, because there's many different interests. Some guys for the GC with unauthorized, some guys that know that as long as unauthorized is in the group, it's the problem for the group to go clear. So it's a pretty, they are, with the three guys in front, Lenny, Martinez, and the two other guys, they have a good chance because there is no really massive cooperation in the group behind.
Yeah, in a bit of a stasis at the moment, Jonathan, isn't it, in terms of what's happening on the stopwatch, the difference between them. The Maillot still staying almost 4 minutes back. The Johannesson group is really getting on terms just yet with Martinez and Co as well. Interesting to see whether they manage to get on terms with Martinez over the top of the asphalt.
It's going to be very interesting to see, and it's also going to be interesting to see how the Peloton deals with that presence of Johannesson. Going back to your comments about Florian Leibowitz, it's been a while coming for there to be a successful German rider again in the Peloton. So many years of hardship, really, from after Jan Ullrich through to the dissolving of the telecom team. I just feel that it's really positive for the sport and really, really positive for German cycling if Florian Leibowitz can continue his trend as he currently is.
Yeah, it was an abrupt departure, wasn't it, for French television and the media in general. They really took those years to heart, as well you might expect and understand, when the various scandals erupted and emerged from the dark years of Tour de France cycling. And yeah, Florian Leibowitz is a sign of green shoots there. They've had plenty of really good sprinters in recent years. So it's certainly kept the aficionados and the casual viewers entertained and interested, but a real enthusiasm, a proper pursuit of yellow in Tour de France. Well, Florian Leibowitz, just 24 years of age, he's one for the present and the future. So it'll be interesting to see how he's going to handle the triumphs to come. So we're on to the Aspan proper at this point. Just with a somewhat surprisingly a Belgian flag. We've seen a Breton Renhardou there. And the Belgian fans will be hugely disappointed by the departure of Remco Evenepoel from the stage and from the event. What a moment. Martinez linked it over time to the cusp behind, and he did have one or two sketchy moments on that descent. Kept it upright. That was the key situation. It still has solo rides on to the Aspan proper now. Through Pale, in upper Bagor and the Pale Valley. The Compound Valley, Jonathan.
Yeah, this is not an area that I know particularly well. I've sort of dipped my toes into the Pyrenees on a couple of occasions, just to mostly go up and watch birds like golden eagles.
Healthy, hearty mountain food. This is that's the Pyrenees. Several supporters here for Lenny Martinez. He's captured the imagination of French fans and the wider cycling public. I mean, it is part of the world I've been to on a few occasions, in actual fact, and declaration of love has been projected out as easier way, isn't there? That's text messages, but you get it via live television. That's as effective as any, isn't it? If it works. But yes, the Tourmalet is completely overshadows the Aspin, but as you say, when in combination the two, it certainly makes the Aspin altogether more challenging if you've been up over the Tourmalet first. If you're coming as a fan, the Aspin would be a great hill to go to because everybody wants to go to the Tourmalet, and it's a relatively accessible one, albeit not too much in the way of camper van access. It's probably a bit easier if you fancy camping. Tough couple of days actually for the campers on this mountain, isn't it? It's a little bit more challenging if you're under canvas or whatever canvas has been replaced by, whatever nylon or man-made material works for tent manufacture these days. The whole expedition of heading to the Tour de France and finding a place to billet yourself up the side of the road and finding a place to pitch your tents and then making acquaintances with the various other fans. All part of the Tour de France experience. Well, they've managed to, it's about half of all the meters that they'll gain on this stage have been achieved at this point. Tourmalet's a bit of a beast, isn't it? And still, the interesting, isn't it, that Kuss and Paris-Pontefract, no sign of them making any major headway into the advantage of Lenny Martinez just yet.
Yeah, 46 seconds, 4 kilometres still to go on this particular climb. Then they will have the descent before the climb up to the Col de Périsord. And then another descent before climbing up to the Champ-Super-Vanière. The high point of the Pyrenees, the high point of today's stage, 2,115 metres.
It grips a little bit here, the Aspin, 7.6% on average. The average of the Aspin is actually the same average as the Tourmalet. The difference is, of course, you're comparing 19 kilometres against 5 kilometres. So you kind of settle in as a sort of power to weight, and the power required to project the bicycle along at the right kind of speed to maintain the advantage. It's similar on both climbs. It's just the sheer daunting length of the Tourmalet. A little look around there from Lenny Martinez. Is that fear I saw in his eyes, or did you still see confidence?
I think he's gone through a complete mix of emotions so far today. Every time I looked at his face, there was a point where he looked like he was smiling, then he looked like he might be crying, and then he looked like he's gritting his teeth, then he looks as though he's enjoying himself. I think he's just, it's a bit of a roller coaster as far as he's concerned today. But so many French fans out there sporting the polka dots in support of Lenny Martinez, and they will be so delighted with how he's going.
Yeah, Tadej Pogačar will be happy enough 4 minutes behind Martinez at the moment, so no real stress because, of course, Lenny Martinez is 102nd overall. He's 1 hour, 52 minutes and 38 seconds, almost 2 hours now on general classification. He has lost enough time that he does not represent a threat to anybody on general classification. He'll get a little bit of space, but of course there are plenty in between him and indeed this group that would like to win the stage for their own reasons. But he's putting a little bit of time now into the Kuss group, for all that it might have looked like a little bit of fear. We've seen a bit of frustration from him as well, because he kind of give a flick of the elbow and a little look around to Ben O'Connor on the sort of halfway up the Tourmalet, as if to say, is that all you got? Can we go a little bit faster? So wants to press on. And this is going to increase his advantage. Added another a few seconds. We get there yet. Putting more time into the Hannesen group. We're now just smidgen under 2 minutes ahead of the Maillot Jaune group. Talking about brothers earlier, we've got the Yates twins, we've got the Holland-Johansson twins on the same team, most unhelpfully. It was a while to figure out that it was Tobias and not Anders that was in that chase group. And of course, you've got the Paris-Pontefract. They're not twins, they're about 5 years apart. They're on different teams, so it's a little bit easier to pick out than the Holland-Johanssons. And this is Valentin Paré-Poulter in the company of the American Sepkus, whose metronomic style is in marked contrast to Paré-Poulter, very much of what you might call the French style. And what a day it's been for the Soudal Quick Step squad. Well, they're in pursuit of stage glory, potentially, but it's been such a challenging and disappointing day so far with the departure of Remco Evenepoel. And Roman Bardet has caught up with Klaas Ludovic, the director sportif, sporting director of the Soudal Quick Step squad. It'll be fascinating to get their assessments. Roman Bardet, the Soudal Quick Step squad.
What a way to bounce back. It's good to see Valentin in front. Was it the plan to go on a downhill? Because we saw on Tourmalet there was not a massive cooperation in the group with some big names and also guys in the GC.
Well, we told him to take it easy, not to take risk. Apparently he knows the descent well, so no, nice move he made together with Gus, so let's see how far we can go.
Yeah, they are getting time. And just one last word on Remco. Is he going fine? And did you see it coming?
Well, for sure it's going to be a big disappointment. Let's hope he recovers from this and we can still see him later on the season.
Thank you. Have a good last place.
Yeah, understandably kind of keeping stum on that one a little bit. No, not going to reveal that they did see it coming, but I think in some ways we kind of saw it coming. Brian was talking sort of at length really over the last couple of days, but it seemed clear and obvious that Remco Evenepoel seemed to be, it was very hot days, but he seemed to be sweating even more than others and needed a lot more cooling liquid from bidons and from ice bags to just try and keep as cool as possible. So just a sense that he may be running something of a temperature, and we do sincerely hope that he is going to be able to bounce back quickly, and that Vuelta España has already been provisionally penciled in on his plan for the rest of the year. Now, this is first sight in a while, actually, of this, what we're calling the Tobias Hallen-Johannesson group, for good reason. He's the best placed rider in this group. He started the day 8th overall. He's already leaped to 7th with the departure of Remco Evenepoel, and potentially could move up to challenge for a podium position. Too far away from that, so starting the day, Tobias Hallen-Johannesson within 107 of Primoz Roglic, who in turn was 146 down of Vauquelin. Vauquelin had about 35 seconds to find to get to Oscar Omley, also very, very close indeed. 3 seconds between Vauquelin and Omley in actual fact, and 41 seconds to Florian Leibowitz, who's now at third place overall. In 2K, the top of the climb. That's Simon Yates-led group behind. Also including Tillon Arensman, Carlos Rodriguez in there, Alexander Vlasov, who suggested hasn't been present for the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe squad, but certainly is today. He's clear of the group of favourites, and it's exactly what they will have wanted. And will presumably be available if and when they scoop them up. If there's any sort of crisis behind that needs to be fixed, they can call Vlasov from ahead to come back to assist. Emil Verstringen is on a fine day for the opposite De Koning squad. He's in that chase group and still in the hunt for stage honours. They're the third group on the road. Behind this is the second group, Sepkus, another rider whose personal ambitions will instantly be tempered, if so required, by Jonas Vingegaard. He's sent out front as something of a stalking horse, or just to have another rider ahead, and if and when be called back or towed back, whatever way it works out. Great to see the old chalkboard still works on a wet day. dress yourself up as an inflatable pig. It's probably a good way of staying warm and staying dry on the Aspen. Also in that chase group behind, by the way, Ben O'Connor, who was with Lenny Martinez on the lower slopes of the tournament. Henrik Maas we saw on the front, tapping out a ribbon, trying to support Kegan Mulberger and Dana Rubio. Sergio Higuita, we haven't heard from him, but we understand he's in that group. Jordan Jagar, Michael Woods, and Tobias Hallen Johansson, as we've mentioned. Best place rider in that group, started at a 10:36 down, tendency 36 down on the overall race leader. More points on offer. Lenny Martinez.
Last kilometer then for Lenny Martinez. Top here. The 5 points, currently 10 points in the Breakaway standing, so to stretch that out to 15.
He's got the jacket. He's going to need it for a little bit more today. Staying cool, staying warm, I should say. Cool is probably no problem at all. Again, relatively short descents to follow a relatively short climb, but it's long enough that riders will get very cold. And that was the point that Romain Bardet was making. It's really cold on these descents to come, and these riders are a little bit more vulnerable than us mere mortals. They are so strong, so finely tuned, but also vulnerable to any sort of wet weather conditions. And Martinez not even waiting till the top of the climb to put that jacket on this time. He waited till right to the top of the Tourmalet last time around, but this time around wants to get a full jacket on the descent of the Tourmalet. I don't know if you noticed, Jonathan, but he wore a sleeveless gilet, so he's going to get a little bit more protection from this one.
Spectacular just how fast the weather closes in, because we've had Lenny Martinez going from brilliant sunshine through to thick mist, full of mizzle and rain, and then back into sunshine, looking slightly clearer, whereas behind him it really wasn't. But that lead that he has enjoyed over Sepkis and Valentin Paripad, now down to just 44 seconds.
Yeah, it's coming a little bit tight. It did, of course, put the jacket on. That might have, leaked a couple of seconds there, but steady stuff. He started the climb with about 47. He did move it up to around about the 54-ish kind of mode. But when he takes these points, he'd be minded to sort of wait for the others. I have a funny feeling, actually, that they're just going to descend faster than him, because Sepkus and Valentin Paripad absolutely flew over the top of the Tourmalet, didn't they? They closed a huge amount of the margin that Lenny Martinez had. Martinez clearly was pushing a bit himself. We saw that he was taking it right to the edge and beyond on a couple of those bends, but as he rises to take the 5 points and to increase his advantage over Tadej Pogačar to 15 points, in that competition. That's to be decided a little while from now. Gap down to half a minute. It was almost a wry comment, wasn't it, from Klas Ludovic, that he instructed Valentin Paripad, second in line here, to take it as easy as possible on the descent of the Tourmalet. But he said clearly he knows the descent well, because he and Chris absolutely flew down it. What he's got today, as I mentioned, for a lot of the riders, the deep section rims might be a little bit shallower, actually.
No emotions. You are doing amazing job. You have to finish it off today. Yeah, it's still a long way, so you are going now. Nice cadence. That's perfect.
No emotions.
No emotions. سمعت أو بيتخون بدو عسل قاني.
Be a vacuum. Be a vacuumless person. They're devoid of emotion, Lenny. Go out there. Don't show anything in your face. Yeah, but extraordinary. Not hugely encouraging, really, was it, from the car? You're being a legend, Lenny. You've just got over the top of 2 really hard climbs out in first place. Now let's hit the next one.
I'm not sure you have to wind them up. I think the problem is trying to sort of keep him in calm, keep him in check, and keep it logical, keep it sensible and scientific. As Aaron Smith, Scrutineers duo in this group, and it's great to see them with their red jackets as well. Easy to pick out in the mist, aren't they? You've got exactly the right clobber on for the descent to come. Yeah, his advantage down to 21 seconds, albeit the lead of the 3 riders out front is continuing to rise over the Colin Johannesson group, which we're looking at here. The Mayo Jaune group is sort of holding steady. If anything, they've gained a little bit. Catch a group down to back to 3 3/4 minutes from Lenny Martinez on the day. Major contenders in there. They've all moved up one, apart from Pogacar and Biniam. Jorgensen, solid in there after his, you might say, recovery time trial yesterday.
Pretty decent recovery. Sixth place.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look great, did he, the previous day on the Hoodicam? So yo-yoing off the back on the penultimate climb, and then... Is he apologising for having... I think he might be apologising for grabbing that cardboard sign at the side of the road. I'm not sure if you spotted that, Jonathan, but grabbed a cardboard sign, ripped it in two, shoved it down the front of his jersey, kind of old style. Instead of a copy of L'Equipe or whatever the local newspaper is, he managed to find a bit of cardboard to protect his chest and apologised, and now he's going to dispense with it, and grateful for it. What a character he is, what a showman he is. And that's a souvenir. I'd try that out, put it in the wall to get it framed.
حنبب يا زلا بقى ولا تطاميت يا زلا عجيب ولا تعذب زي
Over the Aspen, 3.5 minutes removed for the
Mayo
certainly closed up a little bit to Martinez, and Kuss and Parry Pontra
already Martinez
That's got to be a positive for Lenny Martinez.
It's all developing nicely. Thanks very much to yourself, Jonathan. We'll hear from you a little bit later on today. At the conclusion of the day, will a man in polka dots
kilometer تريفوم عنده
as a stage
نفوده
be there to collect a polka dot jersey. A little bit better for that at any rate, but as you can see,
ولا تعذبنا سبسكرايب
لايك
شير أي نحن نقدم زي بتخم ونفوت عم شير سبسكرايب من بوزا channel نحن عبيا زخونا ريتو كومنت دو ما هبو كومنت ما هبت بو يعبي كامبر يقول أكن زعبا زلو ترنامج كومنت أبزو ليش هاي نيتورك تقامي كبرات عزبتي ممكن من لسينا كم زرانين بتعمي تبوي زلو زوجوزو استغانا حدقا هنا يرانا لنا كيكا حنت حدقا مارتينيز بزنقاد بقعات زنقاساس له طعمي بقعات سيرين له طبق نيلو معان في بقعاته استغانه ነው ኮይኑሎ
they're just hanging out there. They're not gaining. They're not helping each other. And
You need a teammate in there, didn't you? Yeah, ideally.
yeah, possibly. But I just think that Lenny Martinez has wasted a lot of energy today that I don't think he really had to do. He could have sat back a little bit, still taken maximum points in those climbs, and been in a situation where.
Do you think he could have stayed with Sepkus and done the Imperial Portsmouth with the Celtic Patrolman?
I think he would have done, yeah.
I think they closed quite a bit, didn't they?
They did. He went over the top. What was it? 140, 150. I think he would if it's there in front of you. When you're on your own, you just took it. I think he just took it more steadily. If you're behind, you're kind of chasing and going a little bit faster. But I think for most of these guys, it's about safety. Just get down this climb safety. But that group in the middle ain't going anywhere. They're only 140 in front of the yellow jersey behind. And like I said, they're only using Pollock. That's it. They've not even used any of the others. So the power assert, you might see them, push on a little bit with more of the climbers, bring it down. And unfortunately, I heard Jono ask what time would be required at the bottom of the climb. You are talking about 3.5, 4 minutes by the bottom of the climb to pretty much try and secure that victory. So if they do come with 3:30, these guys do have a chance. And I'm favouring Sepkus more than the other two, unfortunately, for France, of course.
Still no stage win.
Now, but I think UAE Team Emirates will just push on a little bit, bring the gap down, and by the bottom of the hill, I think these guys will still be away, but they won't have enough.
ዝገርመካ ግን ማርቲነዝ ብጣዕሚ ይፅቦ ዘሎ ብዙሕ ሰዓት ኣውፅኡ ክነሱ ክልተ ዓወት ከም ዝኽረክብ ብጣዕሚ ዘሕጉስ
ኣሰልጣኒ ኮይሉ ወይ በቃ ዓወት ረኺበልካ ብዙሕ ተሓጎስ ነዊሕ መንገዲ ይፅበየካ ዘሎ ከይትዘናጋዕ ኢሉ of course ዓብ ተስፋ ስለ ዘለዎ ካብኡ
55 to go, still two big hills to go. Two Frenchmen up front with an American.
እዛ ግሩፕን ከም ዝሪኣ ዘለና ብጣዕሚ حنبابها زلا
قلنا أنا بحكي أنت في النظر زي قرمة كابي ولا تستعين هذا مستبين مهام كم داخليس سنة خلاص نسيون دا فعلا كم زي باسي يروبسين
ግን አትሊስት ባራራ ይስሎ ዘሎ ገለ ነገር ኮ ብቆሉ ግምታት አለካ ነው
لا موضع ذلك تتجاوز حالاتهم يبلعهم يلتين صهما كود زود دايد مثلا نجس يزفرهم زين بدي حريف بعد استوسني بعد فوقاشا سني نعيدهم زهدن من قدس يقولون
I think very healthy.
Messi.
Delay.
Messi,
so I think they'll be fine. He was one of the first riders that was dropped. But yeah, 3:30 back to the group with Niels Pollock, the rider. Pretty much. Did a tremendous amount of to the sprint, it was super fast. You're talking about
حدا سبسي كودد وين غير يحط ضمانه
7 kilometers an hour average, somewhere about that. Then the sprint, then we had the Tourmalet, and that group went. But it was always going to be the case of how much time they would get, and then it was all over the place. The Tourmalet, eventually Martinez went over the top with under 2 minutes advantage. Now he's been caught. The effort he's already made. I don't think he really had to make that big effort. And that's what the car was trying to kind of say to him. Just try and stay as calm as you can. No emotion, sort of thing. And think about the stage win, because definitely the stage win would have been up for grabs. But I can't see it just with these three riders. These are the three top quality climbers that we've got here.
I'm not even
I just can't see them holding off. I think
نبينام
all of the 336 that they've got at the moment, they've got the final climb, and I don't think they'll have that.
أجانا نبينام جانتو غريب
Will they still be in front? How much of an investment is going to be made?
على دمتي أبناتهم
Time to grab hold of
روتا
where
نفسه انتهوا صعي دحسوا زبلنا بالمعناتوس كل زرعنا يو ጨዋታታት ኣብ ቦላታ ከይበፃሕ እዩ እቲ ኤነርጂ ወዲዎ كوميل كهاسك ساي يكون هو راتع تغطلتنا نيتورك تزاجاني كملاسيو زوامو يقريت عند حدثنا بيني قلنا استعنز مخرجني بين ترى خينو استوم كان تلاقي بو كان نايكو ده منبر
It's not that the ambient temperatures around in the valley around about the 20-21 degrees Celsius. It's the cooling
درجة
effect of the rain.
سكوني سمعني
Really drag that down to a single
المخلوم
phase.
ناشيوم تمقرأي بدمن لكن تمقرأ زلوز بهالكابتا كان تسنسي
بركز
no just كومي
بقى بكذا لا تحبوا غير ترايو تعكب زلوا ماني
Jones in evidence again. Lee Martin has managed to get rid of that jacket. Plus,
جوناثان ميلان كوتا أصلا بتناتهم ليد أوت ما ناتوا فاينال ليد أوت اللي حرقتها هو العمر من دون حتى برعات هذا جينا جامتا أبي بيني قال أبي ويجامبو ويجي لكذا أكلنا مرأنا يا دخلت لانتاري جاهل سبيروا نهلكها ولا عبد درجة كتحيل مسوينا درجة لا درجة كتحس مسوي جن الزاجان تاني حتى تيجي لكن ما توهيتي أفيا بينس ولا عن تستخدم
سيكو وقتنا كان تقبضي خمسة
زبدة فلاين جي سي رايدرز قال نحكي مستوصيت فيروسناتهم تتبعهم كورادرو
turdifrance, what, at least 4. Those riders and bigger passengers have to break the elements as well. The advantage of pedaling to try and keep themselves warm on the climb either, so then the effect of the descent tends to have greater impact. So they'll be well muffled up.
ماريا ماسمري تخلى حبة تقول له خينا فعبينا أبستيك تحتهم.
To Super Biniam today, you remember 1986. And the victory of Breakaway, significant on his ride to first maiden Tour de France success, three-time Tour de France winner. Robert Miller second on that occasion, and Robert Miller took the win in '89 in Super Biniam. We had victory for Scotland in 2025. New York is watching. Oscar only today.
Wow.
Constantly moving side to side. Jab, a little flick of the elbow. All angles not dissimilar to Julian Alaphilippe and Harry.
Okay.
Very efficient start. These chasers have work to do.
Yeah, they're just going back to the Johannesson group, just distanced a little bit in that descent there. This is the group. Yeah, this is the Johannesson group is split a little bit. I think they will all get back together, but they're still 1:43 back, 2 minutes in front of the main peloton.
Of course, the other thing to have Sepkus like this, any question to be calling him back, it would take a major crisis, and it will, he's available to him. But
I have to stick with my gut on this one. I think it's stage wins they're looking at. I said it right from the start of the program. It's like if Vingegaard wanted to really put the pressure on the race, why didn't he have a crack in the tournament? He already had Simon Yates in front and Sepkus. He already had those stepping stones to, the riders up the road to kind of help him. put a lot of pressure on UAE team Emirates to try and isolate Pogacar and really kind of go up, set a huge tempo, but I can't see it. I never thought they would do it, and I think by putting Sepkus in there and the likes of Simon Yates, I really do think they were looking more of stage wins going forward, knowing that I think Vingegaard pretty much on his own can, secure that second place.
Plus, I suppose taking bonus seconds for what that's worth at this point, such a gulf, it's not that relevant. But hey, it prevents Tadej Pogacar, who's in his pomp at the moment, in the clearly no sign of weakness. But they'll hope that maybe his resources will dwindle a little bit as they come to the end of 3 long, hard weeks. Maybe there might be an opportunity to take something else from the race. Sepkus looking to try and emulate Simon Yates, of course, and taking a victory from the early break.
It wasn't an early break.
A very, very late early break. Yeah, after
halfway
hours.
Through stage break.
Yeah. They should offer points towards the points classification if you get in a move that gets more than 2 minutes up the road. But there should be some classification for actually making it into the move. It is in its own right quite the achievement.
Actually, in some of the Belgian races, I think it's the Benelux Tour, they offer there's kind of a sprints, checkpoint sprints, but they offer more points depending on how much you are in front. So if you're 30 seconds, you get these points, but if you're a minute in front, or to encourage them to try and get as much time as possible, so you get more points.
Belgians know about all action, all day racing. That's what we're getting today. Oh. Not Jonas, but his teammates out front at the moment. Going for glory. Sepkus. 2-stage victories on his way to overall success in his Grand Tour moment in his life. It was the victory in the Vuelta a España, as I mentioned, somewhat controversial Vuelta a España a few years ago, so he'd have to race his own team, but he got the win. And stage winner, of course, in Turdifrance as well in 2021. Now the Addison group down to 125. Looks like they've got their skates on a bit.
Yeah, split the group. It's got a lot smaller, and they're starting to contribute a little bit more and help each other. Of course, when it gets in this valley, you can make the efforts and try and close the gap. That's the only part that's going to kind of hurt the 3 in front, 3 specialist climbers. It's on this flatter part of the route. As soon as you go on the climb, I think they may push it out again.
The average speed's come down a little bit, but it's nonetheless very, very impressive. Considering we've been over the Tourmalet and the Aspen, to have an average speed north of 14 kilometers per hour is pretty amazing. I think the average speed was, 41 point something for the whole day to the Hodekamp. That was just eye-wateringly quick, wasn't it? You think back to 1980, 86, 89, those stages tended to be run off at an average speed of something in the order of between 35 and 37 kilometers per hour. These speeds these days on a different scale, in large measure, of course, the huge improvements in the in equipment, and that's not to be sneezed at. Sometimes you need to be presented with CDA figures and try and understand it, but it is absolutely true that the bikes and the equipment and the clothing in large measure as well, clothing it's just made cycling quicker. Nutrition also huge aspect, and the understanding of how to get the best out of yourself, and periodization in training, the specificity of it all, add in a bit of altitude training as well, and it's an extremely fast sport now in comparison with the past, and will we maintain an average of north of 40 kilometers an hour through to the finish line from now? I'm not quite so sure. The actual fact with the Pay Resort and then the Super Bannier to follow it, but nonetheless, it's a pretty swift day, albeit you know, with Niels Pollitt still available, and what a day he's having, by the way, and every single metre that he does on the front of that bunch is an extra metre that his teammates don't have to do, so therefore it's an immense contribution. But the very fact that he's there, does that indicate that this is pretty routine stuff at the moment for the Peloton?
Oh, he's doing a super ride. He's holding this group on his own. We saw them. They were all, you know, the Anderson group were riding straight off, and you know, we started to get into the advantage of the three riders in front of Martinez, Kuss, and Harry Pantra. So it's always a place where you can pull a bit of time back in the kind of valley, and the fact that Niels Pollitt rode all the way up the Tourmalet down the other side, up the Aspan down the side on the valley, like you say, means that nobody else in the team has to put their nose in the wind. So that means, I think that the reason why they're riding like this, I don't think they're too worried about Tubagia. Anderson. I think the big thing now is the stage one for Pogacar.
Asaf has been retained. He's still available though for Florian Leibowitz, the third pass. turdifrance following the departure from the race at Breakaway earlier on today. Belgian champion, the world time trial champion, the leader of the unrider classification in the third place man. Fortunately, on the shore, weakened by the effects of the first couple of weeks of racing, perhaps some debilitating illness, which we have no details whatsoever, but nonetheless, he's been suffering. He dropped right from the start of the Tourmalet today, and the team are heading for home. Has promoted Florian Leibowitz into third place. His teammate Primož Roglič now up to fourth. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe squad happy enough to follow along in the wake of this Maillot Jaune group, led along, has been for simply hours at this point, now by Niels Pollitt with the UAE Team Emirates squad. Still six riders for the UAE Team Emirates team still available, including the yellow jersey. This group of favourites, and their disadvantage or their deficit is reducing. It's now down to 3 minutes and 11 seconds, having been well north of 4 minutes at one stage. It's further evidence, I think, of really strong effort by Niels Pollitt. Let's hear from Romain Bardet, get his thoughts on the stage as we approach the penultimate climb.
Very interesting racing approaching the Peloton. We have the chasing group who now already split in two, with a really good cooperation in front with the Ineos rider, Arensman, Rodriguez, O'Connor, Johannessen. So they have the same interest, and most importantly, Simon Yates is also now riding with this group to try to catch in front of them and the head of the race. And behind, I think it was in the technical section, the three Movistar are together. They are not too far back, and I try to come back with mass in front of the race.
Yeah, we're half done in many respects, even though we're further into the stage, but feels like we've kind of got about half the stage done, although just 43 kilometres remaining. Really important moments still to come with the Peloton.
بس عباي بجلون نقيسها زي الحمد لله
أنت دايما قصاص اللي يمر حنت بلا قميت كوينم يبين ضل سوز اللو كتصاوت النهر كوينم تم كاتت كان تاتيم لا تصاوت اللو مبر إذا عملي تم عملت زلو يناس فينجي كاركات بوير يخالط بي عنسي كل زلو جس نسمين قال تزعيتهم قال لوطي نيتو تحري نمبر فإذا واحد جني حر قال أنا قال ديري أمنا
So he wants to try and stay away. That means that Vingegaard might want to do something. It's the only reason, because they've got Sepp Kuss in front. Sepp Kuss can potentially go and win the stage. The fact that Simon Yates is riding means that he wants to stay in front of the group. So, and he's what, just over 2 minutes in front. So
ما تعذبنا الشير سبسكرايب لايك لا دبرنا بطح شير تحاورنا تابعنا
if they are setting up
فيديو سبسكرايب دبرنا
catch up with Chris and Yates down the other side, that could be their plan, and that's the reason why Simon Yates is riding. But of course you have to get rid of Pogacar, which I think is almost impossible.
You've got to keep trying. Huh?
That's why I said almost, because you have to believe. But it's the only way that Simon Yates is. Why is he riding? Because they're coming back to the two in front.
Yes, I mean, in any other way, Sepp Kuss might be minded to take offence at this, but he'll know the plan, he'll know the reason, and it's certainly something to watch out for. It could be a slight fly in the ointment for his two French breakaway companions right now. This is significant investment from Kim and Aronsman as well to try and drag himself and his teammate Carlos Rodriguez up into this group. Simon Yates, Ben O'Connor looking good as well. Tobias Hallen Johansson will be, I think, delighted that there's a little further investment and a bit of more cooperation in this group. The day 8th, now 7th. And it's a major bid, it's a brave bid, an adventurous assault by the man on the front of this group, Tobias Hallen Johansson, to move up on general classification. Major injection of pace. You can see that the gradient is starting to rise. We haven't quite arrived on the lower slopes of the Peloton, but it's starting to ramp up.
زارقا تمراريح من المئتاو دامبر أتا حنت نبرتنا intended نينت بي نبرت بولاتا أو أصل سامس واتسا بدحريو أي ترين بقى حبزني وزقود سو عقب سلزخونه نبينيام أي قد سوني.
Stringer's having a funny old day, really. He looked really impressive on the tourmalet. And he's been yo-yoing off the back of that large group assembling behind Lenny Martinez, and then it fractured over the top of the tourmalet. Initially, we understood he was with Sepp Kuss, but for whatever reason, he's found himself distanced, and now is finding the original rearguard action to try and maintain a relevant position out front. The Vingegaard, I wonder what he has planned. Clearly, they're not going to give up this without a fight. Sepp Kuss out front at the moment, so too is Simon Yates, and Jonas Vingegaard currently with Tadej Pogacar. We spoke to him ahead of today's stage. What's the morale like after yesterday's pressure racing?
Jonas, describe why you still believe you can win this Tour de France.
I mean, I know I have a very high level. I showed yesterday that I was more or less back to my normal level, and yeah, I just have to believe that if I perform at my best level, that at one point I can make the difference.
And how much involvement, Jonas, do you have in formulating a strategy in relation to how you're going to approach the race? How involved are you in that?
No, of course I'm also involved in it. It's something that it's something that we speak about together with the directors. So yeah, it's of course I also have something to say there.
And what about the final climb today? You wouldn't have raced up it before. It's the first time we used it since 1989. What details do you know about Superbanier?
It's a very long climb. Officially, it's 12.5K or something, but I would say unofficially it's 16K. I did a reckon on it, and when I did it, I was a bit surprised because it only said 12.5K, but basically from when you go out of Bagnères de Luchon, it starts. So it's a very hard, long climb.
Finally, what are you expecting from Tadej today?
Yeah, it's a pretty hard question. I don't know, to be honest, because he won the last 2 days, so could be that they want to go for the stage today as well, or it could be that they want to leave it as a breakaway stage.
It's the point, isn't it? I mean, it listed in the book as a 12.5 kilometer climb, but the final 16 kilometers of this bike race today are an average of 7%.
Yeah, tough finish. Very tough start for everybody with the speeds tournament. This race could be all over the final climb. But you have to remain positive. Vingegaard will always be positive. You will fight. I've not seen any weakness at all in Pogacar. But you have to play the game, and you know they will have a plan. I just thought that, you know, what help is Sepkus and Simon Yates. You know, where are they going to help? They're not going to have much help if he goes on the attack in the final climb. So it's going to come down. The final climb is going to come down to man against man. Vingegaard against Pogacar. So the only way that these teammates in front are going to be helpful is, you know, after we go over the top of the Peloton, a bit on the descent, maybe onto the climb. But for that stage, Vingegaard will be hoping that he'll be on his own, going over the top, and I can't see that. But if they are going to try this tactic, I still believe that it was all.
سنا يغريتا خورات عزتنا عينت هور تصغم يخم ستريو زلخم ግን ቀጻሊ እዩ መደብና ግን አሞንጎ ክልቲኦም ገላ ዓይነተ ዘሪና ጽቦ ነይሮም አሞንጎ ቪንገርጋርን ፖጋቻር
ናይ መወዳእታ ዘለኽስተይ ኣይተርፍኒ ሓዲኦም ክቆርጽ ክደሊ ወይ ከዓ
As opposed to I can only see on the final climb, for me it's too late. It's going to come down to what we had the other day, man against man. So
نعودين كتلو ويس استاجبراي
yeah, well,
we
love your news as well, because what an effort you've made today. He's been great, absolutely terrific job done at the bottom of the Peloton. But you can just see that Simon Yates just off the back of this group. So yeah, going back to my point, it's now only just over 2 minutes now, and you'll be able to see them. If Jonas is going to do anything, it has to be in this climb. We can't wait to the final one.
Rodriguez hits the front, but might be getting that sinking feeling. Certainly just behind him, Tobias Holland Johannesson might have felt that he would have a little bit more of an advantage on the Pays Resort. Certainly was going to need more than the 240 they've got on the leaders. At least the group of favourites behind. Has a little look at the group, and you wonder where the injection of pace is going to come from. Ben O'Connor is starting to suffer. A long couple of weeks of racing, a long day in the saddle. Simon Yates has already gone backwards here. Sepkus is still tapping out a rhythm behind Timo Aronson, but we're wondering whether they're waiting to provide a launching pad for Jonas Vingegaard when he goes solo over to these riders. And he try and go solo over to these riders. What's the response going to be from behind? Interesting to hear Jonas Vingegaard. Seems very relaxed. I have to say, maybe it's
that's why طبعا تو يجي نجي زلو
think the biggest chilled rider in the Tour de France this year is Roglic. He just,
I don't care if I win.
yeah, it's a case of, you know, why are you wearing short socks? Well, you know, I don't want to get that cyclist on. I want to look good on the beach. It's the same with Sean Yates in the past. Why you get short shorts? Because, you know, you want to look cool on the beach afterwards. He's so chilled at the moment, but yeah, look, he knows he's in a. Jonas is in a battle with somebody that's better than him, Pogacar, and you have to be realistic, and I think he is. But I'll go back and say that if it is for Jonas today, it would have been big and bold if he went on the Tourmalet and try and split it up. But I really don't think that 220 is going to be enough. And you know, they may pare it back a little bit more on this climb and onto the final climb, and then it's down to potentially Pogacar again. There's still got 4 riders around about. They haven't used Yates and Narvaez yet. It's about Sivakov has come good, and Marc Soler. But you know, looking at Vingegaard, he's got Jorgensen in front of him. He's got Campanarts behind him. That's it. That's all he's got. And if he wants to do something, it has to be in this climb because he's got the stepping stones in front of him. But he cannot wait much longer. He has to kind of think about it. But he has to look at the team of UAE Team Emirates who have got multiples there to be able to set a tempo and kind of bring it back. So. I'm still keeping with my original thoughts, and it's potential a stage win for Visma Bike, and especially the circus.
They're going to need a bit more time than they've got at the moment. Pavel Sivakov is available to set the agenda all the way to the top of the mountain and beyond. And Tadej Pogacar's been plain sailing so far today. Jorgensen still available as well for Jonas Vingegaard, who's in the red and white colours on his helmet of Denmark. Now we haven't spoken much about today. He'll be happy enough, presumably, to still be in the group and still safely in there at the moment. Started the day 6th overall, Kevin Volkner. There's a bit of tiny bit of daylight between himself and Oscar Onley. I think the battle between himself and the Post-ascent Scotsman, Florian Leibovitz, and others on that final climb is going to be fascinating to behold. A steady tempo being set, and yet they're still continuing to close down to the others. And because Sense hasn't really been contributing to the pacemaking just yet, the fact that Simon Yates is coming back here would suggest that they have eased off ever so slightly. Really still running out of riders in the front. The potential for stage honours is also dwindling with every pedal stroke here from Pavel Sivakov.
Yeah, I thought they just got Enric Mas there. I thought he would be better in the Tour. Another rider that's probably come to the Tour with a view of getting well inside the top 10, maybe looking at top 6, top 5 performance, but has been absolutely nowhere near that.
Spaniards on the Spanish team. Still representation up front. Do they? No, I think it might be the last rider. Where's Rubio of late? Press on. This one just, you felt that was going to come because Yates was coming back to this group, and now this one is Pinarello mounted, and he is stretching his legs, his long limbs to try and see if he can put a bit of daylight between him and the rest. Yates is almost immediately detached, as indeed is Valentin Paré-Poltre. And Johansson staying with him, and the irrepressible and remarkable figure of Lenny Martinez. Martinez doing a really, really solid job here. He is one classy bike rider. Look at that jersey. Frantically, desperately wants to add to his points total. We've got 10 points on offer at the top of this climb, remember. And now we get the response from Rubio, who absolutely was in the group, and will he be able to make his way across to somewhat labouring Valentin Paré-Pontsmith. Arnsman steps on the gas again. Only Martinez can follow for now. Even Tobias Halland Johansson, 7th overall that he may be, looks very potentially very vulnerable on this hill right now. And how are things going to be for him when it comes to the final climb to Super Bagnères? Timo Arnsman showing himself to be the strength of that late early move.
Well, it was second the other day to Simon Yates, putting a good performance, and he's putting in a big performance today. So is Lenny Martinez, just coming up a little bit short now. I think it's just the efforts of what happened earlier, but this is still splitting up. Still, Sivikov setting a tempo. No reaction from Bismarck Lisabek. Both of the riders in front are dropping back. Whether they can back, we'll wait and see. But so far, Timo Arnsman, Timon Arnsman is looking the strongest of the riders in front, but looking strong as well. UAE Team Emirates at this stage, having 4 strong riders left in front of the race with their team leader, Pogacar. Good to actually see that Picnic Post and now have got 1 rider here. I think it is Frank Vandenbroek with Oscar Ornley, because that was my only concern, that Oscar Ornley was pretty much on his own, but yeah, he's got some help. So is Voikelin as well. Got a little bit of help. So we'll see. But Tobias Johannesson, I thought he would be maybe a little bit better. Wasn't able to go with Timo Arnsman when he went. But still 3.3 to go for the leaders. Still holding on to just over 2 minutes. I'm still
like, share, subscribe.
Unfortunately.
Bet against him with a relatively narrow advantage for these riders. Woods has been overhauled. Jagat has been on a pretty good day. He's been hovering in between the big chase group, you might say, of the 3 out front and the group of favourites. And he's starting to add a little bit of extra effort. Total Energy squad desperately trying to get something out of this year's Tour de France. About to overhaul Ben O'Connor. But up front, it's Timon Arnsman of the Ineos Grenadiers team that has the narrow lead over the rest. And then we have the 2 riders from Visma Lease.
Yeah, but they've been dropped. So this is what I was trying to say, that what help would to be? They're not going to be any help in the final climb. I think they got in the breakaway. They're trying to win the stage. But unfortunately, there's stronger riders in this breakaway. This is Rubio and Carlos Rodriguez. You've got Valentin Paré-Pontsmith just in front, and then you've got Johannesson and Martinez, and Arnsman is in the lead on his own, and it'll be a big stage for Ineos Grenadiers if they can pull this one off.
So there you go, to the top of the mountain here for Timon Arnsman as he tests himself with impunity, I believe, of his gel wrappers.
Yeah, we are.
As you mentioned, has recorded the best stage result of this year's Tour de France for the once dominant Ineos Grenadiers squad of David Brailsford back in harness, back in the management, direct day-to-day management position to try and rekindle old glories for that team. Success for Arnsman today would certainly boost morale significantly. Start to descend again, but not so much descending as we're rising to meet them. Resort for Dutch rider. Speed is stretching out nicely. 9 seconds, yeah. His nearest challenger, which is of course Lenny Martinez, who desperately really wanted the 10 at the top of the hill. He's going to get the 7. I think he is for 7 second place across the line at best at this point. This one isn't coming back from any time soon. And indeed, this is a significant injection of pace because you can see that he's opening up an advantage over the steady pace being set on the Maillot Jaune group. So Tadej Pogacar's group is being led at the moment by Pavel Sivakov. He's
Away got himself got third place on a stage earlier on in the tour, but Timo Arisman on a mission now to try and the Piri Sorts was what 2.5 minutes or something, and but he's doing a good ride, and that's all you expect. He's doing his best, but his best might not be good enough if Tadej Pogacar wants to win this stage, and I believe he will, because it's almost been presented to him, and he's not used up all his team yet.
1.2 to the top of the time is Tyler Arensman and his advantages. You can see he's up over a minute for the first time to Lenny Martinez, who potentially is going to be reabsorbed by the chasers behind. And then Pavel Sivakov starting to show the efforts. Pink sunglasses all round for that team.
He's just winking at everybody.
And the yellow gesture. He's pretty relaxed.
To be where he is, where he came from a few days ago, you know, he's battled through what he had. I think we said at the time that wasn't Sivakov. Sivakov is better than that, and you know, this is what he does.
We saw two mans going out the back on the Tourmalet. Can we probably yesterday and then hung on to get a second helping of Tour yesterday and then hung on to get a second helping of Tour de action today. Hardboard is the new thing, isn't it? More evidence this year than most.
Look at both in
for Julian Alaphilippe to pick up some chest protector. 400 metres to the top. So announcement continues to open up a little bit of daylight up to 3:18. We think he needs 4 minutes and the rest. Over the top of this climb, it's 13 kilometres downhill to around about 6-7%. And then he's got another sort of kilometre or so before we start to lift to the finish line. So it's basically 16 kilometres that he's got to really gain and continue to expand his advantage.
An acceleration behind from Alex Rodriguez. Another strange one. His teammate in front, but yeah, maybe trying to get rid of the others. 3:21 at the moment. Let's go straight up and over the other side. We've got a couple of hairpins on the way down initially. Once we go over the top of this climb,
Arensman is into the Mountains fight here, and Rodriguez is just going to prevent Martinez from taking the 8 points on offer. 6 and the rest. That didn't quite work, so Martinez has fought and potentially another 8 points on offer here. Harry Poulter is climbing all over the bike. He looks like he's in a world of hurt. Still clear. How much longer? Now it's
Sivakov is gone in this climb, so a bit more pressure on. I think they've asked for a little bit more. What Pogacar has, because this gap is going out to 3:23, and you know, I think Pogacar is interested in this stage. You can see the Sepkus just behind, not that far away, over the top, so they're still in it.
Yeah, Tobias Hammond Johansson started the day 10 minutes and 36 seconds down on general classification. He's no real threat to Tadej Pogacar. As you say, he wants that third stage victory in succession. It's Hammond that is going to lead the first chase group on the road over, or at least he was until Lenny Martinez did the needful to take the 8 points and further enhance his situation, and has a little look around as if to say, I was just doing what I needed to do to take those points. For the first time all day, he's happy enough just to wait for the next.
Yeah, there's a couple of corners towards us at the top. It's a beautiful climb coming up this side as well. You can see a twist and turn over the top, but once we get past these couple of corners, it does get a little bit more straighter.
Yeah, because I was little tiny. They like it,
Contrast again over the side of the mountain.
Finalize
Valley to the next. It's everything from summer to winter. And Soler, former Paris-Nice winner, supporting the interests of Tadej Pogacar and setting a tempo. And as you say, Pavel Sivakov, quite able to last over the top. We'll be hoping that he can rejoin on the descent, or that he is indeed potentially still in the wheels there. He might well be. Picked out a UAE jersey a little bit further down the line. At the moment, Tadej Pogacar, too many teammates about him. He's still got Yates a little bit further back, just behind the Visma bike riders. Jorgensen is looking after the finger at the moment. Not too many teammates available at the moment. We can see Victor Campenaerts well deep into this climb. His yellow helmet might still be there as well, just behind Jonas Vingegaard. Plunging down off the Pays Resort, rating at about 7%. Chilly stuff. Too many riders grabbing a jacket. I think this weather might be catching them out a little bit. Well, they've entered the High Pyrenees. And there's Martin as well, being traversed today. Inside 30 to go. Pays Resort is put behind them. They find themselves 3.5 minutes down. Tillman Aronsman, who's doing an absolutely cracking ride, you'd have to say. His advantage continuing to develop over the nearest chasers.
Yeah, minute 24 was significant. How much is he going to carry that on to the final climb, the last 16 kilometres, I think, the majority of it. So that'll be the case for the main peloton as well. 3.5 minutes. Yeah, touch and go. It really depends on what Pogacar does. If Pogacar does what he did a couple of days ago and goes from the bottom, then it's cuts for everybody, unfortunately. But definitely Aronsman's given himself a chance, because it looks as if he will hit the climb with about 3.5 minutes.
Alan Johansson takes it up on the front of that group. Lenny Martinez in line astern, because Rodriguez here, Contra, Ana Rubio, still looking anxiously over his shoulders, and the weather conditions slightly less demanding as they get a little bit further down into the valley. Colombian flags to support Rubio, and he dispenses a beat-on at about 50 kilometers an hour. So 80. It probably was all of that, yeah. He's done a great ride today, hasn't he, Jordan Jagal?
He's always been in the gap, isn't he?
Working hard to get in there and keeping himself in there and motivated and stayed pushing. Garcia, by the way, Arkea rider. He's the back of the Maillot group, and he's the rider supporting the interests of Volkswagen. Grateful for that. It's good to see, as you said, the Dutch climber Frank van den Broek is there for Oscar Onley, his fellow countryman from the Ineos Grenadiers team. Tillman Aronsman is your race leader. Side 25 to go. A bit of a wobble on. Steel frames used to do that. Just to safely touching these against the top tube and stay and calm the bike. I think it's more about calming the rider. Inside 25 kilometers for Tillman Aronsman over the side of the hill. Crowds necessarily and understandably a little bit smaller. The chimneys to see the riders. It's fleeting, isn't it, as they whiz past you. calm for Tadej Pogacar as he chases almost unprecedented third successive stage success. That's an interesting record. First rider to win 3 stage victories in the Tour de France in succession was
last year.
It's not that long ago, is it? Yeah,
The last 3 stages.
Yeah. But if he does it, he'd be the first person ever to do the triple twice. Yeah. Sprinters have done it in the past. Sandro Pataki in the Armstrong era, it was achieved, albeit with a big asterisk. It's the last non-sprinter before Tadej Pogacar to win 3 consecutive Tour de France stages. It was Gino Bartoli in 1948. Something that neither Eddie Merckx, or indeed even Mark Cavendish, ever achieved. Potentially, he's going to do it 2 years in a row. That's the level of Tadej Pogacar's dominance.
We got to feel this man is the only person that could stop that. 3:48. It's significant. It's been a fast, tough stage for everybody. But he's got himself a chance. It does really come down to the team of UAE Team Emirates. If they go into this final climb and do what they did a couple of days ago, then you have to think that Pogacar could be, having another shot at a stage win.
There's a distribution of points at the top of the Pay Resort, with Aronsman taking the 10, and Lenny Martinez keeping things ticking over very nicely with an 8-point haul, and that would mean that he has 23-point advantage, so he will be in the polka dot jersey at the end of the day. So he's got a trip to the podium to collect that polka dot jersey, and that's going to be a source of great relief. Potentially a trip to the break for him tomorrow as well. See some estimates. That's interesting graphic coming up in Pro Cycling Stats. The estimated average power output for Tanden Aronsman on the Pay Resort is 431 watts for 21 minutes and 5 seconds. That's 6.3 watts per kilo. Big effort. How much will we have left for the final climb? Easy down in their wake. It's still holding steady, isn't it? 118, 119 between Aronsman and the chase group. And the Maillot, that's showing at 3:43. So 4 minutes that we suggested might be necessary is still on, isn't it? Because he's got about another 4 kilometers to go to the start of this climb. Maybe, just maybe, he can gain a few seconds here and there on the run to the final lap.
He's given himself a shot, a real shot at this one. 3 minutes was not going to be enough, but he's managed to get another 40 odd seconds over the top of the Perissorts down the other side. So, but like you just mentioned there, it's a huge effort for him. What's he going to have left at the end? Well, he's got a minute and a half in front of anybody else for the moment anyway. This stage is just going to come down to UAE Team Emirates. Do they want to? Don't they? Are they going to invest in, riding hard? And if they do, they'll deny any grenadiers of this stage win. So let's see what they decide to do. But definitely putting himself in a position of hope anyway for the stage is Aronsman.
Got to race his chance at it, hasn't he? Tanden Aronsman is heading towards the final appointment of the day. And the only for him is the Or category beast that is Michel Superpanier. Can he possibly fend off the chasers behind, including overall race leader Tadej Pogacar? And how long can these riders managed to hold off that Mayo group behind as well. How much fuel in the tank is left for Tobias Collins to Hansen? Could be vulnerable. Starting the day 8th up to 7th. Will he be able to maintain that position? It's absolutely fabulous. You have to say on the Hodecam a few days ago.
Well, so the other situation is if they race from behind. I said right at the start of the day, you would want to race this if Renko was still here, because you would want to try and kind of test him out, because over the last couple of days he's looked a bit wary. The fact he's abandoned has changed things now. So I think Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe will be happy with the situation they're in. Let's see what Vingegaard, if he's going to have a go. I can't really see it. I think Pogačar will be up for the fight. Let's see if anybody else wants to try and steal back some time, because there's so many riders very close in the general classification.
Yeah, Florian Leibovitz now third overall in general classification, has just 41 seconds over Oscar Onley, and the better of the Scottish rider on the Hodecam a couple of days ago. Oscar Onley in turn, well, it's just a few seconds lead over Kevin Vogelhoff. So that one's very, very tight indeed. So it depends on who has the better day, although it does look as if Oscar Onley seems to be going north in terms of his energy levels, and Kevin Vogelhoff maybe starting to struggle a little bit. Time trial didn't work out great for Vogelhoff. We'll see if that can be reset today. And then Primož Roglič as well, after his fine time trial performance yesterday. It's really fascinating to see whether he can start to make further inroads on general classification.
I'm still struggling to see Red Bull going on the attack. I'm still struggling to see anybody thinking about going on the attack. So let's see what happens on this final climb, because we're only just over a kilometre away from the start, the unofficial start.
Yeah, the unofficial but actual start, sort of the real start as opposed to the official start. That's probably the way to put it, isn't it? Because Jonas Vingegaard has done the recce, so we don't have to. And he's told us that it's about a 16k climb. And actually, when you go to Bellevue, I had a look at the stats, and he's absolutely right. I mean, it's almost exactly climbs at a very steady, constant rate from 16.5 kilometres to go. He's put a little bit more daylight into his immediate chasers, albeit the Mayo group seems to be cruising down. Obviously escorted by Sivakov back in the front.
መቼም ሕጂናይ መወዳእታ በቃ
Today Pogačar,
16 ኪሎ ሜትር
grateful for that for as long as it's possible.
ሕጂያ ማለት ይሄ ግን አለው ሳር ሕጂ ዝገመካ ነገር
አባሉ ተባታተን
On the way to Super Bagnier today.
ተጽፎኝ
So the finish back in 1986. Success for Breakaway. Success too. Scotland's Robert Miller in 1989. Big moment for British road racing. Oscar Onley in that group of favourites behind. That's a bit of a see that. Paul Prado has been assisting us in analysing and observing in the peloton the leaders, the chasers. We'll be interested to see how Oscar Onley gets on, but he's actually at the chase group at the moment, I believe, and it's needed to get reservations and former podium finisher and stage winner in this sense. So, the final climb looms. Romain Bardet.
Massive crowd here in Madia de Luchon. We are just almost at the bottom of the last climb, Super Bagnier, and Thymen Arensman is looking really good. He loves this condition. Even if the road is dry now, the condition on top of Periswood were super moisty, and I remember him this year throughout the Alps. He put on a show like this under the rain in a really cold day. So I think he has now also a good chance today. It will depend how UAE Team Emirates, how hard they will ride the bottom. But I'm pretty sure that he's going to maintain this kind of effort, this kind of speed to the top.
He's going to race his chance, but that is the key question, isn't it? Just how how hard will UAE invest, and when will they start to press on the buttons and really put out the big ones?
That's all it hinges on, and from what I'm seeing at the moment, the fact that Sivakov has come back and just nudged it on a little bit more. They seem to be looking to set up another stage one, which is going to be really unfortunate for the team in Arensman. I wish them the best, but like Roman said there, and I said just previous to that, it all hinges on UAE team Emirates now, and they've got the firepower. If they came here with less riders, then it would be about just control. But the fact that they're 3.5 minutes down, this difficult climb coming up, with the firepower they've got, they're very capable of launching Pogačar for a stage. A bit of a boost. You'll see this quite a lot. They'll come up, give gels, give bottles, and it's all giving that little bit of a boost. Every team does it.
Lots of prospects. Lichon Super Bannière, they've been coming to take the waters here since the mid-19th century. It's been a ski resort since the early moments of the 20th century when they discovered that slipping and sliding was quite fun, and it could be a leisure pursuit. They do a bit of bike riding here in the past as well. Their time playing host to a finish of the Tour de France, and those black elements of the climb showing just how demanding it is. Approaching 2 kilometers in the air. The altitude will certainly be a factor by the time the riders reach the conclusion of the day. Measured at 12.4 kilometers. As I say, we're already climbing, and we're climbing all the way to the 12k to go point. It is already probably 2 kilometers of this climb under his wheels at this point for Tymon Arensman. And O'Connor has rejoined. So too is Yates, Chris, and the rest. They've had a little bit of a reset in this group. And they're running out of steam. Add to almost 2 minutes to the stage leader, Arensman, on a monster day today.
Yeah, the thing about this climbing, the way that Mark Soler is riding here now, Sivakov has done his job, so it does look as if they're trying to set up Pogačar. But this climb is harder towards the top. Jorgensen now pulls out, so Campanach, you have to tip your hat to him. He's come into this Tour de France to be, a rocket, somebody that rides on the fence all day, something like a Niels Paula. Well, he's climbing very well, isn't it? Still being in this group, but the way they're riding at the moment, the gap coming down a little bit now, the hard parts towards the top, they're setting up Pogačar for the triple yet again.
A day without for Matteo Jorgensen. There was signs of recovery in the time trial the other day, but the American rider not quite able to rediscover his Pyrenees form, his form from Tour de France last year. And Soler's back on the front now for Tadej Pogačar. If Jonathan Narvaez hits the front, they're all going to get very nervous indeed, because it's the way they played it in Overcam a few days ago. And they're leaking riders out the back of this group and also at the back of the chase group back front. It is heading to their own levels of ability and what they've got left on this climb, as Arensman has been racing solo for a while now. How much is he enjoying the experience? Simon Yates is not going to be able to relive the glories of stage 10. And
Look, a flag gets stuck in the wheel there by the looks of things.
We've seen that in the past, haven't we? It's just so it's amazing. It doesn't happen more often than again. Interventions from the crowds, not appreciated. What we love about this sport, you can get so close. Everybody's got to stay as focused as possible. Difficult to do if you've been on that hill for a few days, enjoying the revelry, and just a little bit of extra sustenance might have affected that as well. So
this is hard already, and we've not even reached the bottom of the climb.
Only dangerously far back as we go 15 kilometers to go. So, hereabouts for now. Well, Tejada, who is down the squad, and is just shaping to move perhaps ahead of Soler. That's him done, I think, is it? What's his mouth? It's the communication, yep. Yep, I can do another 5 kilometers, or yep, I'm about to crack.
Well, he was on his radio just trying to have a chat. I think Victor Campanar's been up. Don't think it'll be long, but look at the size of this group now. There's not many left, is there? Nice to see Ben Healy now into top 10 spots, and I think that has to be a goal now. I know he's trying to get in the breakaway earlier on, but it really has to be, you know, a goal for EF Education. He's supposed to get a top 10 here.
So on the front, Tadej Pogacar happy enough to track his teammates. He's got the rest of them breathing down his back. Point that Jonas Vingegaard made was he's got a really good level, and he has got comfortably the second best level in this race. If it were not for Tadej Pogacar, he'd be light years ahead of the rest. At the moment, he's looking in control of his efforts. The power that Mark Soler can put out is not troubling, and in that red and white helmet. In front of the yellow helmet and Victor Campanarts, who is now the final rider available for Visma Leasebike. Remarkable.
Yeah, 2 riders in front, but you got to feel that Kuss and Simon Yates are really suffering. So even if Vingegaard did have a crack at this one, I don't think they'd be of much use anyway.
Well, Tobias Holland has dealt with that little issue with the drapeau, the flag, and he's now gone to the front of the That's the report from Lenny Martinez. Uncooked, perhaps. Giga, after his yo-yo day in between the groups, has been caught by the yellow jersey group, and a little bit of extra injection of pace. Down to 3 minutes and 14 seconds, still 12 and a half to go. This is where the climb starts. I'll tell you what, it's almost an ironic sign, isn't it? Mocking of these riders. To Lucian Superbanier, 7.3%. I mean, if you take it from 16 and a half to go, it's 6.9%. So the difference is negligible. Here's Roglic. Start of the race, 7. On the move. 50 down on the overall race lead, but within a batch of riders.
See Warren Barguil. He's going to hover now. For picnic first thing now, very important. Just having someone there for Oscar on is very important. You never know. You could have a situation like Johannesson had there. Something happens on the climb, and, you know, having a teammate there to be able to kind of help you because, you know, the cars aren't there quick enough. So it's there's going to be riders all over this mountain, but just getting that feeling again that it's going to be another win for Pogacar today.
Shaping for a big push. Feel it coming, can't you? They certainly know something a little bit special is about to happen. Now this is still available for Tadej Pogacar, who doesn't appear to have any difficulty whatsoever. Even flicker of tension or stress is revealed on the face of the yellow jersey. Campanarts cruises across the road.
I'm really impressed with him today. Very impressed.
Fabulous ride. How much longer can he survive?
Game over for this group now.
Yes, and Sebkus is just looking over his shoulder. He'll no doubt just see can he assist, albeit briefly, because as you say, he looked very good over the top of the tournament and onto the Aspen, but since then the Peloton not his strongest moment. So Sebkus for the Visma Leasebike squad is essentially assistance to the honest finger, limited I would have thought. Yeah, day for Ben O'Connor as well, still in that group, but I mean his presence in there would suggest that the steam's gone out of it a bit. Back to 2:25. A monster job that this rider is doing, albeit now just 3 minutes and 5 seconds. And still most of this climb to go. 3:05 to Pogacar for Team Aronson. Up in the cheeks. Five-year-old. Dale, stage win in the Vuelta a España a few years ago, stage of Tour of the Alps this year will be the standout, second overall as well in that hilly stage race. Straddles the Italian and Austrian borders. It's a standout performance for Armstrong and Mudspinner. Sort of patchy year for him, really. He managed third overall in Paris-Nice, and he's gone backwards, but chapeau to Victor Campos.
Brown right, last man there in this group anyway. I know they've got a couple of teammates in front of him, but when you consider the super team that's come in here and taken on Campanats this year has been a big asset for them. But I just saw Vingegaard kind of moving up there. I was hoping for a second he might be trying to do something, but I think time to just follow and see. But gap coming down slow as expected. Marcel are setting a good tempo, but as you said, they've got Narvaez and also Adam Yates who's moved in front now. So this is what they'll do. They'll set a huge tempo on this climb. Pogacar's not going to go on this climb early. He's going to leave it late. He's going to use his team up. So when his team are used up, then it'll be time to go.
They'll be desperately hoping that doesn't happen with about 500 metres to go. But I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Well, it depends on Soler and Yates and Narvaez, how much they can go, but it's not going to be a long range attack here from Pogacar.
Liebowitz is there, he's got Primož Roglič for company. The figure of Felix Gal started the day 8th overall, has Carl Scots into a skip the system. He's on a good day for the Capo-Regi to walk. The Mondial squad. Only potentially flying solo. Here comes Yates back. For how long can he assist? Jonas Vingegaard. Stays over on the right hand side of the road. Sure, he's going to be there very long indeed. At all. A few cracks developing of in the chase group, or in the more than 25 seconds in front of the yellow jersey group, because Tobias Haaland is desperately, frantically trying to salvage something from his big adventure out front.
And unfortunately, he could be losing time today in the general classification. Just when he thought he could be gaining some time today, got himself in a breakaway, which is a strong move. Well, that's it. It's down to one. Well, I know he has Narvaez as well, of course. And there's a little anxious look over his shoulder. Is this the moment where Haaland thinks, maybe I should just cool it a little bit, try and recoup some reserves of energy, just a few joules of energy? I mean, he appears to be attacking this group, but would he be better advised just to ease it slightly? Yeah, steady away. He's going to be caught at some stage anyway, so I think it's just trying to kind of save that a little bit. You're not going to completely kind of sit up and wait, so I think he's just going to set his own rhythm on this climb. When he's eventually caught, he'll be hoping he's got enough to stay with the other kind of GC contenders, but it was a very bold move going into the attack in the first place in the Tourmalet, because I think the experience would suggest just kind of sit back, but if you sit back, you have to deal with Pogacar and co. So it was a case where they could have got on the breakaway the day. They could have gone if it just didn't. There was no cohesion there. The thing is, he could have had the bottom of the climb with a few minutes advantage and maybe taken back 1 or 2 minutes in the general classification.
The catch is made to the mile Poix, but I do believe he's going to lead that classification from potentially Michael Woods, actually, who scored some points out there today at the end of the day. But Lenny Martinez, big adventure for him. Inside 10 to go, will be overhauled. It's just Yates and Narvaez available now for Tadej Pogacar. Peloton start to crowd around a little bit, Scottson and others, suggesting perhaps the tempo has eased ever so slightly. And Lennon Martinez immediately detached, but it's been a great bit successful day out front for him. Much to take from the day.
But the thing is, he's got 52 points, Martinez from Woods at 38, but the Gap's has got 37 and potentially more points at the top of this one.
Right. So, yes, it still could be for Pogacar.
Yes.
Dear, oh dear. Well, he kept himself in the fight. There's still the Cohesion stage tomorrow. And many adventures out front potentially for Lennon Martinez. Now there's that they have to just inject a little bit of an extra effort. Waiting for this one to fire. Still 9k to go, and that's but every passing meter that it doesn't is good news for this man. Oh, what a moment in your career. All the way to the top from here. But still, you continue to believe. Too early to call?
No, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think so anyway. I hope he does, but the looks of Abis is going to take it up, or Yates is there, and Pogacar yet to get involved. He'll do something later up, and we know how explosive he is. I just don't think Scottson has to do this.
It's almost tempting the UAEs into injecting a little bit of further pace.
He's sitting in the wind. I know he's protecting Gal, but the two of them can just sit in the wheels a little bit and save Scottson a little bit more. But just like the others are just sitting in the wheels. But yeah, like 2 minutes and 50 seconds. We know what Pogacar can do in these sort of climbs, especially when it gets steeper towards the top. He still has a chance, Aronsman, and I hope he does it, but I think Pogacar wants this stage.
Bingo is staying absolutely well to the back wheel of Tadej Pogacar, as well he might, and as he indeed has done throughout the first couple of weeks of racing. Vogeland's put himself into prime position as well, right on the wheel of Jonas Vingegaard. Two Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe riders. Just behind, Oscar Onley is maintaining a position as close to the front as he dares. And Simon Yates still hanging on in there. I think that's Yates, isn't it? Yeah, indeed, who's just still in the group, albeit at the back of the group and not apparently of any assistance to Jonas Vingegaard. Tobias Holland with the Rubio and Rodriguez for company is continuing to fend off the yellow jersey group, and there's a little look across from the hairpin. You'll get that sinking feeling. Desperately, frantically, hoping you can stay in the hunt. Okay, remaining. Nice. Went on the. You've got to admire the adventure of it all. It's the folly if it succeeded.
You got to try, haven't you? Yeah, you got to try something different. You can't just, kind of sit and wait until the final climb and wait for the Pogacar show. So if you want to kind of try and take some time back, you sometimes have to think outside the box a little bit.
We often lament that riders in the modern era of cycling will defend 7th and 8th and 9th and, in general classification, and they'll be chasing down riders who are 11, 12, 13. And can be a little bit frustrating. Can lead to a sort of locked situation where there's not much happening. But you can't accuse Tobias Holland Johansson of that today. Aronsman, he too has been immense. looking to go one better than his second place finish in Le Mans d'Or, Puy de Sancy. He's dealt with one problem, which is he's managed to drop Simon Yates, who took the win on that occasion. The main issue now is to try and fend off the group of the Maillot Jaune, still 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Getting more and more kilometers under their wheels, but still waiting for Tadej Pogacar to make the big push. Pogacar wants this stage win, but maybe he's thinking, I don't need to humiliate the others. Hey, look at Cal. This is not necessarily in the script. This is an impetuous move? Well, it's certainly an interesting one. We said it's great to see the adventure. It's great to see these riders trying something a little bit special. And Felix Gal, the Austrian rider with the Decathlon AG2R Le Mondial squad, has decided to fire first.
Yeah, that's a risk you take. You know, you do leave everything to the final climb, and try and do something. But you've got some of the best climbers in the world just behind, and Scotson's done his job already. Simon Yates been in that breakaway today, but I just think that Gal, obviously on a good day, but Pogacar's just yet to fire. It really depends on how much Yates has got left in the tank. That is Adam Yates, so how long can he go? And then Pogacar will launch, and the question is who can go with him.
Well, look at that. That's a major moment, because Felix Gal has started at A9th, and Tobias Halland Johansson started at A8th. They swap around as Jonathan Narvaez has gone backwards. Not necessarily expected that. Adam Yates, though, is still available. Still 7 kilometres remaining. Felix Gal started at 1 minute 7 seconds behind Tobias Halland Johansson, so he wants to move ahead of his Norwegian rival. He needs to put a fair bit of daylight between himself and Halland between now and the top of the climb, so into a solo time trial, and that's possibly the major objective here. And of course, would ultimately, if he moves ahead of Tobias Halland Johansson, it would be into minimum of 7th place overall. And Halland is waiting. Tobias Halland Johansson is waiting for the inevitable catch in the group of favourites. He's got to stay mentally strong here. The team will be in his ear, trying to motivate him, trying to keep him G'd up and boosted for the remaining season.
I'm not worried about him now with the effort he's already made, and we still get the hardest part of the climb to go. Looking at the riders behind, I think Voikelin doesn't look as comfortable as he was. He's going to move back. Back into the group, you've got Lipovic and Roglic behind Vingegaard, and then you've got Oscar Onley, Ben Healy still hanging in there. So yeah, and then some of the other riders that they've already caught, but still holding on to 38. So it's still looking good. Going to come down to Pogacar.
Halland's overhauled. Adam Yates continues to set a steady tempo, hoovering up the riders from the Tourmalet move. Now quickly moves out to a 17-second advantage over the Maillot Jaune group. Not decisive. Remains to be seen just how long Halland could stay in here. Not very long indeed would be the expectation, but that's not how he's setting up. He believes he can stay there for a while, and he's slots in on the wheel of Oscar Onley. Only looking okay at the moment. Voikelin, as you say, his shoulders rocking. It's looked like he's been close to the end of his tether for a little while. Ben Healy now rolling ahead of Tobias Halland. It's just one after another. Challenging moment for Tobias Halland. After a really brave effort.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the way that Voikelin is moving around a little bit. He doesn't look comfortable at all. I think if there's a big acceleration, he could be one of the riders that is going to be distanced. another wee turbo boost there, and he's going to need every one of these captain up alongside, and just that fraction of a second, there's another one there. Just that little bit, but all these wee things, he doesn't need it. If the car is there and he's able to get that little bit of help, every rider's going to take it.
Gel as well, and he's allowed to see those further up the mountain that would ordinarily be the case every day, but it doesn't say, some Italian campionissimi had their own, virtually pushed up every mountain by the Tifosi. Great resistance. It's come quite a while ago, in actual fact. All up just yet for Tobias Halland either. Tejada still here for the Astana squad. Coming up on 5 kilometres remaining for your leader out front, who's holding on to an advantage over 2 minutes and 5 seconds to Felix Gall, who continues to put time into this group, and it's not going to be of any concern whatsoever to Tadej Pogačar, apart from the fact that we feel that he really, really wants to win this stage. He's not just defending the yellow jersey, he is attacking to create even more record-breaking performances. Up front though, Tim and Aronsman would really like if he'd just take an easy day and defend that jersey, because out front he started this climb with 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and he's done at this point 2/3 of the climb, and he's leaked about half of his advantage. So that would suggest that he's got a shot at it, but the problem is that those last couple of kilometres can often be the ceiling pace can be set by the chasers behind, particularly if they've saved a bit. Felix Gall is closing up. So two of the group of the Maillot Jaune, Jagan and Tejada start to become detached. It would suggest that maybe the gradient has gripped a little bit more, or maybe there's a little bit of an extra injection of effort on the front from Adam Yates. 5 to go.
Yeah, the gradient's getting a little bit tougher now. Fortunado's been out the saddle. I think there has. I don't think it's an increase in tempo, Declan. I think it's the case of that. We just got on the steeper gradients.
9% up a section, and Kevin Bergman is going backwards here. There's a key moment in the battle for not just the positions behind Tadej Pogačar in general classification, but also the battle for that white jersey. Good job being done today, I have to say, by Ben Healy. Rodriguez from the early move is going backwards, but is not willing to give up on this just yet. Tobias Halland is managing to hang in there as well, which is impressive stuff. Escaronle behind the two Red Bull Hansgrohe riders.
You have to say for Ben Healy, not getting in that breakaway kind of helped him today.
Never happened to start the day 11th up to 10th, maybe more. He can hang on for another 4.5 kilometres. But out of those hairpins, they hurt a bit. Still Adam Yates looks in control of his effort. Proved to be the go-to final mountain domestique for Tadej Pogačar today. And Curtis Roglic also looking pretty good in there. We've barely spoken about Jonas Finger on the mountain itself. Much of the conversation was about his ability, or what he was planning in terms of attacks. So far, nothing from Vingegaard. If he wants that stage win, maybe he's going to try and do something inside the final couple of kilometres. I feel that Tadej Pogačar is not forgiving gifts just yet.
No, but he can't wait too long now. I think 4.5 Ks to go. Cannot wait too much longer now if he wants to try and win the stage, because he's going to run out of roads.
He's coming out here, and on his day in yellow on the Hout account, you felt that maybe he resisted for a tiny bit too long in that on the penultimate climb. But measuring his efforts, as Remco Evenepoel had done, might have been the better option. And he had a little look over his shoulder to see what's happening behind. Halland, I think, is also potentially the next man flirting with disaster. What an impressive effort this has been from Adam Yates. One by one, he's pushing them behind. Those that have been detached will hope that when the braking eases a bit as it will. Time announcement, another kilometre under his wheels, comes to the 4K to go. These countries announcing another kilometre done, there will be encouragement to time announcement.
Yeah, 4Ks to go. This man can hold on. He's on the run line, I think. Catch him
Yes, it's not Felix Gal, his nearest chaser on the hill. The rate of capture you don't feel is just enough for Gal to get to him. Pogacar waiting to pull the trigger behind. Brookline has leaked about 13 seconds or so, 14.
But that's what Pogacar does. He might not. He might just sit there and make sure that he's looking the best of the rest. But with 2 minutes and 15, 2:16, Gal not closing it down. The only person that can catch him in the last 4 kilometres here is Pogacar. And if he's not launching now, it is Grenadiers looking likely to get their first stage win of the tour.
A big moment. Great boost of morale for the squad. Coming down 147 now, so a little bit of a gain there for Gal, and he's now got the bounds of half a minute on the chase group behind, trying to close down a minute.
Share like
7 seconds. Holland is just about grimly hanging on by his fingernails in that group. Still there, he's back. So
yeah, the fact that Pogacar hasn't gone is now looking a little bit more likely that Arendsman's going to take this victory today. Because if he'd have launched further down this climb, maybe with 5 to go, I think Pogacar could have made a difference. But for the moment anyway, it could be jubilation for any Grenadiers.
Felix Gal, will he manage to continue the rapid progress that he's making? Is it enough that familiar style, elbows out, knees out? Metronomic progress on the mountain. 8%. It's the grip again. And Australian rider starts to feel the effects. 4 to go for the Jersey group, so you know that leader out front is 600 metres ahead. And here it comes. That's the attack we've been waiting for. We've been waiting 2 weeks for it. Jonas Vingegaard goes. Immediate response from Lipovitz, and of course from Tadej Pogacar. Behind Oscar Romney, looks to respond. It's over his shoulder. Primož Roglic not interested. Tobias Halland not interested. Ben Healy's happy enough to be with those. And so this is Jonas Vingegaard thinning it out, but he's got the headache that Tadej Pogacar is there. This is bad news, I think, for Tim and Aronson, as Lipovitz is now distanced, and Oscar Romney finds himself in no man's land, but he'll chase and harry to try and get on terms with Lipovitz.
Relaxed. Body language says he is relaxed, but the fact is it came too late on the climb. Vingegaard waiting until looking a little bit more likely because Pogacar not going over the top, he never accelerated, so looking a lot better for Arendsman. He finds himself in a lonely solo chase of Florian Lipovitz. Desperately wants to stay on terms in the battle for the young rider competition. But your top 3 of general classification are the top 3 from the favourites group at the moment. Lipovitz just detached, will be able to make his way back on. Vingegaard continues to tap out of rhythm, and Tadej Pogacar's just going to follow him. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to do it. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have to do it. But your next team have done a lot of work, and there's no better way than winning the stage to say thank you. But for the moment anyway, Pogacar is just quite happy to follow. Lipovitz comes up to them. Nice to see that Vingegaard actually went on the attack, but I don't think Pogacar was under any trouble whatsoever. But I do think that the fact that Pogacar hasn't done anything With 1:48, 2.5 kilometres to go, it's looking a lot better for Arnsman now to pull this one off.
Well, just after half a minute, I think they're moving the bikes around with the roof rack of the Red Bull Hansgrohe car after this one. Lipovic clearly establishing himself in the mountain road racing as the premier force for the Red Bull Hansgrohe squad. Gal is about to be dragged back up. Fox for the yellow jersey attacks, and he's decided enough is enough. Is that all you got? And now his bid for a third successive stage victory. 2.5 kilometres remaining, and the gap to the front of the race. Manageable, perhaps. 1 minute and 40 seconds. Well, Vingegaard has responded to that one. Lipovic is further removed from their inquiries, for now at any rate. Gal, by attacking, racing solo for a little while, finds himself in a position for fine stage result, a decent result. No way he can respond to that. Vingegaard goes again. They're hitting each other. 1 for 1. 2 kilometers remaining, it's still 1:38. Coming back quickly. Crowds merge in front of the riders.
ቱርዲፍራንስ ከምዚ
Let's see if
I know there's a steep, but it's still 1.5 minutes, 2 kilometres ago. I think Arnsman's got this one, and it's, you know, it's down to himself. It all hinged on UE Team Emirates, and they set a strong tempo, but not a scintillating tempo. But I think Pogacar just happy to follow Vingegaard.
A little 10% section with 900 metres to go that won't be much appreciated by your leader at front. As Vingegaard has drawn the yellow jersey clear. Lipovic, big distance, so I suppose in some measure Vingegaard is at least protecting his second place overall. Only his falling further in arrears, but how things are going become we moved up to 4th place on general classification. It's would appear to be the likely outcome of this. Lots of maths to be done between now and the top of the hill, and after it and on beyond, as Jonas Vingegaard continues to lead the yellow jersey into the final mile of racing for the man up front, who's surely done enough at this point.
Yeah, they're not closing at all, 1.5, and the way they're riding at the moment, Pogacar, he made a little bit of an effort there. He's leaving it all up to Vingegaard now, so I think Arnsman's got his stage, and Lipovic looks good. He's just been distanced there by Pogacar and Vingegaard, but Oscar Onley, well, if he gets up to 4th, which I think he will now, he'll be matching what Robert Miller did way back in the 80s, which still remains today the best ever placing of a Scot in the Tour de France, a 4th place.
Huge moments for him. For Scotland, Super Pioneer has been unfriendly to Scottish riders as Oscar Onley continues to chase. He's at 20 seconds now to Lipovic. Lipovic's racing solo, so maybe he might be able to get back in. Races into the mist at the top of Luchon. Super Bannière. It's the super because it's a false Bannière. It's pretty super if you're Timon Arnsman as well. 1,000 metres remaining, an advantage of a minute and a half. Sure, he's going to be enough. Soak it up. Still needs to continue to push all the way to the top of the climb here. They'll be keeping him pretty motivated from the team car behind. He'll stay in his rhythm. What an investment he has made. What a beautifully judged effort. Joining the group of favourites. To go with Benny Martinez on the tournament. Then join the group of raiders, I should say. Not the favourites, but he then, of course, my performance on the Aspen, and particularly on the pay reserve as well. Slowly but surely, and that he was the man out front. And he's heading towards a major success in his career. Second Grand Tour success. He had a stage victory in the Vuelta a España from 2022. 2 second place finishes in Giro d'Italia as well. Second from Tour de France as well earlier on this year at stage 10. Who's going to go one better? Down to the final 700 metres for your stage leader. A little too late for these riders. And one wonders whether Tadej Pogacar will actually outsprint, will elect to try and outsprint Jonas Vingegaard.
I think he has to. Even the bonuses are, he doesn't want to give any hope to Vingegaard at all. The better rivals, they got on off the bike, very respectful of each other. But the difference today is Pogacar maybe thought it was too much, but he seems to just want to kind of follow for the moment. He put in one attack, but that was it. Pogacar a roll. Maybe I've tried to go again, but I think what he's waiting for is just to pounce, take the 6-second bonus.
Great performance by Felix Gall. He's staying with Florian Lipovic, who's got about 33 odd seconds, 31, 33, so yeah, that kind of difference between himself and Oscar Onley, who nonetheless is potentially moving up to 4th overall. Much maths to be done, as I said, but no doubt about the man who'll be in yellow at the end of today. It's Tadej Pogacar tracking his nearest rival. It's been almost routine for the UAE Team Emirates squads. They have the lead of the favourites group. There are plenty of riders available to set a steady tempo, to thin out this group, and ultimately Jonas Vingegaard's attack and attacks, plural indeed, maybe a little bit too little, too late. Nonetheless, he reinforces his position as the second best rider, and by some considerable margin, in Tour de France 2025. Drips a bit at this point in that final kilometre, up to 10%. And Gall are there to assist Lipovic in his efforts to open himself away from Oscar Onley. And an announcement, proud moment for the Dutchman.
It's
just the second victory of the season for Cameron Harrison, but this is miles better than the last one. This is a first stage victory in Tour de France for Ineos Grenadiers this year, and for Cameron Harrison in his career. It's a huge moment. He takes the glory, he takes victory on stage 14 of Tour de France. Luchon Super Barnier falls to Cameron Harrison of Ineos Grenadiers. Now the battle for the minor positions.
አማመት ጎይራ
አማመት ገና አዘ ከመጀር
Rightly from Tadej Pogacar for Jonas Vingegaard, who's waiting for the inevitable attack. Potentially going to get on terms. The finish line cameras, and Tadej Pogacar out of the saddle, waiting, lurking. Vingegaard tracking the barriers, making Pogacar go one side, he goes to the right, and is there going to be any contest here? The other jersey, and Jonas Vingegaard get on terms. Well,
I don't want to add something.
The ghost there. Inevitable. Second place on the line, so no hat-trick for Tadej Pogacar, but a routine defence of his yellow jersey, and an enhanced advantage on general classification to boot, as finished powers up the finishing straight to take on the stage ahead of Florian Lipovic, who's emptying the tank to put as much daylight as he possibly can to himself. Oscar Onley will wait for the arrival of the Scottish rider. And Onley is in a world of hurt. It's a really painful end to a really successful day in many ways. Definitely will be just on about 2 minutes down on the stage winner. Oscar Onley, a signal. He is a true Grand Tour contender. And moving up, we believe, towards 4th place in general classification as Oscar Onley completes. Just a bit more time to Florian Lipovic. And congratulations from Tadej Pogacar to the stage winner.
Open up here, guys. Sorry.
Together, more fatigued than their second place man.
He looked in control there, didn't he, Pogacar? Just quite happy to follow. for Oscar Onley, it's all about putting time into everybody else, including Roglic. But another top right today from Ben Healy, moves himself well inside the top 10.
There's Holland behind him, and Primoz Roglic
riding
alongside him. So Ben Healy moving up into the top 10. It's been a great Tour de France for him. Been a great day out for Tobias Holland. He's lost a little bit of time here, but he's gained a lot of friends. Still be in the top 10 after that. Volgeron too. Is fourth manfully, but a really, really challenging day. You get a lot of support across the finish line. Carlos Rodriguez to reach the top 10 for him. Let's say it celebrates glory for leading us for the squad.
ሽልማት እንዳዓተዓደሉ ገለ ከለዎ የለውም ወላ ሀብስተ ከማን ቁጭ ነው
ካሜራ ማለት ነው
ታዲያ ቦላታ ስም ያው ካሜራ አተሳደ ነው
big moment for that team actually.
Yeah.
Really needs a
Huge. That stage all hinged on your 18 minutes. The way the rain today was for the stage, and you know, you heard Pogacar afterwards congratulating him. So take nothing away from Harrisman. He held him up. I didn't think. Yeah. I think you know, with Pogacar, but the longer they left it, and then Pogacar was just quite content in the end. He doesn't have to take the stage. He doesn't have to take more. He just has to not lose any time.
in protect mode, is
He looked to be a little bit in protect mode there towards the end, which meant the Harrisman was fine. But this is what I was saying early on in the stage with Lenny Martinez. Lenny Martinez early in the stage would have been quite capable of going with Harrisman when he went, but it's all that energy stuff that he lost during the day. That could have been a stage for Martinez.
Martinez on the Tourmalet stage coming up next Tuesday. Potentially one for the breakaway tomorrow. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on the ride to Carcassonne.
Yeah, I think so. I think it should. I don't think any of the kind of sprinter teams will be wanting to try and kind of control things. So I think it could be a good for the breakaway. But big effort from Tim and Harrisman today, the Dutchman, and that's how much it hurt.
Just your fourth pro victory, your second Grand Tour success. To take it on Lucian Superbannier, massive moment there for Peloton. It hasn't been the Tour de France that he wanted. Jacob really had to pay real dividends, but he keep fighting and pushing in the breakaway. Kevin Volgeron. See if we can pick up on the situation on general classification. Long tough day. Timo Arensman survives from the latest of early moves to take the glory. 1 minute and 8 seconds clear of the yellow jersey. Tadej Pogacar defends ahead of Jonas Vingegaard, Felix Gall, Lipovets, Only, and the rest.
مو جماعة لما عندنا أدلني أننا أبزو ودينا لنا صباح دحر صباح كل جزء.
Simon, you had already won a stage of the World This is your first Tour de France, and you win on one of the hardest stages that is on the program. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really believe it. It's already did the Giro this year, and then got sick after the Giro, and yeah, but I think still after being sick I had a good preparation, and going to my first tour I just wanted to experience everything and had to be really patient the first week because it was all pretty punchy and I had to wait until the mountains, and and then the first opportunity I got I was already second on the Mont d'Or stage, so that was already amazing and amazing experience in my first tour. But this is unbelievable, no? Just also, the way I did it, I think, today. But also Carlos in that group, he was also super strong. And he did a really good job for me. But I don't know, I think I just had amazing legs and the shape of my life. and I heard the gap with the GC group and on Peresurt, and yeah, I thought with Tadej and Jonas, 3.5 minutes is probably not enough. I have to move. Maybe it's suicide, maybe it's not, and I can't believe I hold them off. And I was really fading on this last climb, the second half of the climb, but I don't know, but I think with all the spectators, they gave me extra few watts, and I just could hold them off, and it's unbelievable, you know, it's crazy.
Because this was the ambition when you showed up on this first Tour de France to try and win a stage?
Yeah, well, not really. To be honest, I just wanted to experience the Tour de France, the biggest race in the world. I did a lot of Giros and Vueltas with really good GC results, and so like you said, a stage win in the Vuelta, and a lot of times really close in the Giro. But yeah, I wanted to experience the biggest race in the world, and then to win a stage in my first tour on this way is unbelievable. You know, it's crazy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, the riders continue to come in. Across the line.
أصبح ضمن مدبنا يراها لنا كورات غطات تنتي كل جزء حساب زعتو
So
بحن
many
سبعة
interesting
مساوم
movements in different elements of this sport.